Good morning. Welcome into Hurrdat Sports Radio, AM 590, ESPN Omaha, ESPN Tri-Cities. We're live on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube. That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla here on the Pillar Exterior stage. What's up, DB?
Hi.
Hello, sir.
What's up?
Hello, friend.
How are you feeling about your
Robertson just throwing gas on the Dodgers? It's not good.
Well, that's not what I was going to ask.
Well, shut them down 2 nights ago. It was very nice watching Seager come back and hurt the Dodgers.
Yeah,
and then last night,
don't love that.
Runners on first and third. You got a chance, and he proceeds to strike out Mookie Betts on a ball that I thought was, man, great swing on it. Good late movement from Robertson. It's like, okay, Ohtani's up. Nope, he swung at a ball that was about 57 3/4 feet. Hit the plate. Hit the front of the plate. Didn't get a good look at it. And then he proceeds to get a swing and miss from my man, Mr. First Base himself, Mr. Freeman.
Frederick?
Yep. Old Frederique. So I'm like, you know what? It's going to be a Seager kind of series. Go John Tolman's. The Fighting John Tolmans are putting it on the Dodgers after they got beat 226-4 in the opening game of the series. It really wasn't 226.
I feel like that would be a record.
Yeah, that would be a record. They did hit 5 runs. That tied a season record.
Yeah.
I mean, not that I'm remembering the numbers or anything.
I think, you might be keeping track a little bit there.
Yeah, I don't know if you call it. It's my kind of PTSD is post Texas stress disorder. That's what I'm suffering from.
Well,
but, yeah.
At least your Stanley Cup call seems to be working out.
Yeah, I'm gonna make my good buddy. He's like my eyes and boots on the ground in Kansas City. I'm gonna make him some money.
Yeah, that's because you called that before the Stanley Cup playoffs started.
Yeah, he had to have gotten tremendous odds.
I think it was plus 600.
Yeah,
I think it's what it was when you told me.
Yeah, he's good at this stuff, and we kind of share information. He's really good with the golf stuff too.
Yeah,
he's a real quiet guy too. He's unassuming. I think a lot of it is because he loves his. He's a fan. He's like a dad through and through.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man, this dude loves being with his kids. Likes to cook. Works for a. I won't put him out there. People in the same genres like, Hawkins or some of those big companies. But his lovely wife is battling breast cancer.
Oh, geez.
So, we talk quite a bit. He is. We should have him do a segment. He's called in a couple of times, but he's really, really good in the local high school football scene in the area. So we talk a lot. He's actually given me a couple of guys early that I fired over to Nebraska.
Really?
Oh yeah, he's good. I trust his eye now because he's trending in the right direction.
Yeah.
He found a little random running back.
Mm-hmm.
I won't give up he found a little random running back. This was 2 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
So I think he's a sophomore. He's like, hey, I really like this guy. It'd be pretty cool to have Nebraska get on him early. Now he recently just committed to K-State, and I think he's going to be really good there. But he's going to make quite a bit of money from the Panthers.
Yeah, they got a little bit scary there at the end with the Oilers made it a little bit close, but I mean this thing's a wrap.
Shane, did you watch or were you listening?
I was watching, and we're looking at I don't know if it's brought up yesterday, but I was looking forward to see if it was brought up. But we're looking at the first time since 1983 that both series could be swept.
Yeah, it's very unfortunate.
And this
it's been 26 years for the NHL just by itself, right?
It wasn't good.
Last time the NHL was 98.
So 25. Yeah, 26 years. Yeah.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. I had the It changed on Skinner's misplaying of the puck behind the net when they went up 2-1.
Yeah, there was all three of those first
Were
goals
you
were
like
all misplaced.
Were you like, what is going on? They just were too loosey goosey.
Yeah, that's one of those things where it seems like a big deal to me, and I don't know in the moment if it is or not. Where I'm like, that seems like, what is he doing? Like,
Yeah.
what's happening here? Like, but I'm a hockey
You
novice, right?
Sometimes you see it in soccer, though.
Yeah.
Especially like the men's national team has notoriously had goalies.
Yeah.
A few goalies.
Yeah.
That like to think they're the fifth defenseman.
Yeah. I'm like, hey, bud, what are you doing out there?
They try to act like a sweeper.
You see this little area here?
Yeah.
That's where you live.
So it's like,
it's like Kevin James and Hitch. You live right here, bud.
Yeah, staying here.
Just stay right here.
So it's like, what is going on? And that was it. That was all she wrote.
Yeah, I remember watching that at the time and just being like, is this stupid or do I not know what I'm watching?
That was pretty bad. That was.
And obviously it played out that way for Florida and Edmonton. But,
I think Barkov playing for Florida was huge because he has been a menace for Connor McDavid. I knew when he skated around.
Man, Edmonton just has not been able to get their offense going at all.
Oh, how about the power play?
Like, this is supposed to be this. Well, they were talking about on the I think it was last night on the broadcast where the Panthers sort of used to play that way, and they're like, I don't think we can win like this.
It tightened it up,
and they sort of, I think there was like a 73 goal differential in what they gave up last year versus what they gave up this year, and just kind of deciding to shift their mentalities a little bit.
Yep.
And you just wonder if that's what Edmonton would have to do.
If you're gonna win a series like that, you can't be giving up goals to Tarasenko. I mean, they got a lot of other ways to get you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and maybe
poor Skinner.
Maybe this is a stupid question, but
it's probably not.
I'm going to ask it. Is hockey one of those things where you're deciding like, hey, I'm either going to not let the main guy get his, but I'll live with what he gets and no one else is getting anything?
Mm-hmm.
Or you say, hey, I'm not going to let the main guy beat us, and then I'll live with whatever else happens.
It kind of depends on like the depth, like, scoring lines and quality of lines. I don't know if you can make a conscious effort. You obviously want to slow down Kachuk and guys like that, but
it's not like basketball where you're like, hey, although in basketball,
kind of.
In basketball, if you got a lot of scoring depth, then you don't really have that option.
Kind of. I remember, Shane, how many? That was probably 2 or 3 years ago. Remember Dallas made the runs? It was the year that inexplicably the Avs. I said they choked. People thought I was being a little hard on the Avs when
you were.
Dallas only really had 1.5 scoring lines, and they kept scoring.
Yeah.
And I was like,
I don't know how they did it, but they did it. Yeah.
Do you remember that?
Yes.
And I was like. So you see that happen. I feel like people let Boston do that Pasternak line.
Mm-hmm.
And 3 years ago, that was the only line. That was really the only punch that they had, and they still found it. Now they got great goaltending. Did the Bruins, but I don't know. Like Florida is so grimy.
Yeah,
they win all the little battles on the boards, and the forechecking is really good. Like
we got Bobrovsky,
dude, he's on a heater.
Well, that's like. So
he's on a heater.
That's one of the things where if you can, and it's hard, obviously, but if you can predict which goaltender is just going to be on a heater, you got like a 50-50 shot of predicting the Stanley Cup winner.
That's what I was saying in game one. Like he was the when Edmonton didn't get that one, I was like, yeah, it's going to be a long series. Yeah, and it was still 3-0.
Yeah.
Now they got the cheater late, but yeah. If you weren't going to score that, you had a period and a half where it looked like the ice was tilted.
Yeah, they were just blitzing them.
They turning the puck over 2-on-1. It didn't matter.
Yeah.
So it's like, I don't know. My man JB is going to be eating good in the neighborhood.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if you can do it like
I have some. I got to ask him if he still wants them. His son was a huge Jeff Sims fan.
Oh yeah.
So he sent me a pair. He just wanted them signed.
Yeah.
And return on, but like
the whole thing.
Just solid, dude.
Yeah.
I need to ask if he wants them because I have them.
Yeah.
But Sims, the juice left the station early.
It really did.
Like by week 2, I'm sure his kiddo was like,
like halfway through week 2, I think.
I was like,
Kind of like, maybe I don't. Maybe
uh,
he's gonna be a big Arizona State fan.
I don't know.
What do you mean by that?
He that's my food recommendation guy too.
JB.
Oh yeah,
Okay.
the human cheat code when it comes to barbecue.
Oh, okay.
Oh yeah,
I thought I was your food recommendation guy, but that's like going out places.
yeah. By the way,
not cooking.
Your crazy rich uncle, Ryan RP,
Oh yeah.
was. I think he's just being nice to me, but like he's like, hey, let's go grab a bite to eat. Oh, you can bring Ravi and Natasha too. I'm like, I didn't like shoot it down. I didn't shoot it down. I kept the conversation moving, and I was like, why do I want to do that?
You're like, I don't hang out with that guy.
I see that dude every day. Every day I talk to this dude,
and then you miss me on weekends.
So it's like, yeah, I may not. I mean, outside of college baseball, I don't know if I'll talk to too many people this weekend. I got to get my mind right.
Yeah.
Plus,
yeah.
I think Caleb's gonna come home for a second.
Oh, that'll be good.
Yeah,
that'll be good.
I think.
You think so?
No, I'm pretty sure.
Well, that's good. I know you don't talk to him ever, but.
Good morning, good night. My man's still practicing techniques in the dorm hallway.
Oh, hey, you got to get it.
No, he's
got to get it in.
I put it this way. I'm a lot closer to you and Jay, and I got a couple of other people that were very, very positive.
Yeah.
And I was not. I'm probably closer to being in your guys' camp now.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, listen. Sometimes I know what I'm talking about.
And I usually always do. so maybe it was just a blind spot.
It's probably a blind spot because it's your kid.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's hard not to. Like, I'd rather it be that way because most of the time, and I've seen this a lot, because it gets actually worse the lower you get in levels and the lower you get in talent, is parents thinking their kid is something they're not.
Oh, yeah.
On the other side, right?
Yeah.
Like, I was in recruiting visits where people are asking me, be like, okay, so like, what's his path to professional basketball? And I was like, he should have been born like 6'6". This is not like, if I was like, I swear
I could totally see you just cutting someone down like that.
I was trying to be nice too, but I'm like, I was like, I swear to God, if he was going to play professional basketball, I would not be here.
Yeah.
Because it's like, I know I'm not going to waste my time. I'm an NAI coach. Like, what
I don't want to waste my
time. So I'd rather it be like that, where you're like, maybe he's going to be okay, whatever, versus my kid has 0 scholarship offers. He's getting like maybe a partial to this NAI school. And listen,
there's going to be a few. There are several parents like that in the surrounding area, and there will be. I'm shooting my shot here. There will be a lot of humble pie to go around.
Man, it's tough, and this is why it was so hard to recruit against junior colleges.
It's I just would like to remind people, it's hard to win and it's hard to be good.
Like, I used to recruit against junior colleges all the time, right? And junior colleges sell the dream.
Yeah.
And I don't blame them for it, right? They've got the dream to sell because they send these guys.
By the way, shout out to Kevin Stubblefield, who's going to what's the good JUCO?
Indian Hills?
Nope, in Oklahoma.
It's not Seminole, is it?
It's Crookston. No. Come on, think DB. Anyway,
I'm not as familiar with the Oklahoma ones. I'm pretty good with Iowa and Kansas.
The Okie State's president went there. She hang on, I'm gonna find it.
Okay. But like the difference, what I was having is
how I know she went there. I have no idea.
Well, I mean, listen, sometimes you just know stuff.
Kind of
weird.
But
the difference I was having is at a JUCO, you're selling the dream, right? You're like, hey, you can go to D1. We've had a lot of guys go professional out of here. Or I'm selling reality, right? Hey, you're having a talk with an NAI coach right now.
Connor State.
Yeah. I'm not familiar with that one.
It's okay. You'd be all right.
And it's hard. Selling reality is hard to people that don't want to hear it. So I'd much rather deal with a parent like you that's like, no, my kid's okay. I don't know what he's going to do, whatever. Than deal with somebody that's like, how are you going to get my kid to the NBA? And I was like, I'm not a geneticist. I really don't have any impact on that. You're like, that's not
selfish.
I was like, I could make him a real good NAI player. That's about all I can tell you.
I think it's a little easier to see in the more individual a sport is, but
Sure, it's way easier to see. I've always said this.
Team sports, it's just hard to forecast.
Basketball is by far easier to evaluate individuals than football is. There's way fewer moving parts. There's way more isolated things you can look at. Baseball is by far the easiest because it's super isolated.
Man, I don't know.
Ooh, I think it is. If you know what you're looking for in baseball, now
you see all these guys that get such early offers in baseball, and the colleges continue to recruit over you.
Yeah,
as a freshman, as a sophomore, like they don't stop. At least, like in volleyball, when you'll see early offers, like they don't recruit that position for a while.
Yeah, because they're set.
I think volleyball is outstanding in targeting
in their evaluation.
It's in. Yeah. I mean, 888-638-4876. Does that seem like volleyball doesn't miss?
They've got a super high hit rate. Now,
I wonder what it is because they get early offers.
I'm not a doctor, so I don't know. But the at least the old wives' tale, and I don't know if it's real or not, is that girls would mature faster than boys. So I don't know if that's part of it because like by 14 or 15, maybe you've got a better idea what the finished product is already. Whereas a boy at 14 or 15, you're like, I have no idea what this is going to, like, maybe he hits a growth spurt, maybe he doesn't. That's always been my theory. I don't know if that's true or not.
It's just incredible.
Yeah.
I mean, I was hearing about, now, granted, I know her dad, so that's kind of a little bit of a cheat code, but like Krause, I mean, we're talking like since the 6th grade.
Yeah.
Or Allison Weston, who was somebody I thought was pretty sweet.
Or like we knew Britt Prince was going to be awesome.
Or the Ralston twins. They're freshmen.
Yeah.
They're coming into the 9th grade, and it was like the Titans prize get. Now the program was incredible.
Sure, yeah, for sure.
But it's like nobody does that I mean, there are very few Leonard Fournettes.
Yeah, where you just get it right early.
Right?
You have a lot more. And listen, this player ended up being really good, but the what's his name? Noel Devine.
Yeah.
Right? You're seeing
by the way, was on the
Omaha Nighthawks.
No,
he was.
The dude on TikTok that does the top 10 forgotten players.
Oh, yeah.
Noel Devine was on because he's up to like part 12.
Yeah.
It is sensational.
Noel Devine is kind of one of the first like YouTube sensations I can remember.
Yeah, I'm with you.
For college football recruiting. Because you started seeing his tape when he was a freshman or sophomore.
Yeah.
And
I'll give you another one too.
Who's that?
And it's weird because they're both running backs. I gave you Fournette. Derrick Henry was like that too.
Oh, yeah.
And he had those gaudy numbers.
Yeah.
And I'm like, he doesn't look like he's playing against anybody that's remotely interested in playing good football.
Well, and
but it translated.
He also was just an enormous man-child compared to everyone he was playing.
As was Fournette.
He was, yeah. Noel Devine was different because he's little.
Yeah, he's a little,
and he was just shifty.
Little fast dude.
But he, I don't think he ever got any taller, about 5'5".
Yeah.
And so that's a tough.
Because we've seen some of those legends. Now it panned out, but most recently, look at a guy like Spencer Rattler.
Yeah. They got on him early.
And even the All-Star games, the Under Armour, I mean, he was like supposed to. Now, granted, the wide receiving core in that, and I think Oklahoma got them all.
Yeah.
It seemed like, but that was a crazy. God, they dominated recruiting. But I'm like, and he's in the league. I just watched his.
Yeah, he was.
I just watched him in
4th, 5th round pick.
Yeah, and I just watched him in training camp. I just was on NFL Network because I'm kind of transitioning a little because it's almost camp time.
Starting to get into football mode,
and like he's off to a fairly decent start, and I was like, at some point he'll be able to rest and say, like, the revisionist history will say, "Oh man, this guy, I knew it. This guy was always pegged." But he took the long way. Now he's still in the league.
Yeah.
So you're in the top 0.0001%, which is incredible.
But when you're talked about the way he was talked about,
but he was there's lots of those guys.
I mean, before
I don't think football's nowhere near as good as like volleyball. And I get the gender thing and peaking is interesting, but I am not vibing with you on baseball. I think baseball there are a lot fewer Bryce Harpers.
So I think it's really I think it's much easier to identify the skill sets in baseball on an individual basis. I think it's way harder to figure out who's going to succeed because of how mental the game is. Baseball is hard because there's the things that matter the most you cannot measure. But in terms of like physical attributes,
because in baseball you're like, oh, well, I wonder how well is he going to manage failure?
Exactly. You're like, hey, is this guy going to be cool with being bad 70% of the time?
Yeah.
Because most people aren't.
Yeah.
Right.
There's no failure in sports.
Best case scenario is this guy going to be cool with being bad 70% of the time. Yeah. And most people just are not wired that way. And so that to me is the differentiator in baseball. The skills.
Because I even remember with Bryce Harper coming out of high school in Vegas, like people were curious about the competition.
Yeah. Well, and then he went to play the JUCO.
Yeah.
Right. And people had less questions, but they're still like, well, they kind of set things up to be successful for him.
Bryce Harper answered the critics. LeBron.
I mean, Ken Griffey was one that was like, if you want to go way back, like that's the guy that was tabbed and was it.
LeBron actually exceeded expectations, if you can believe that.
No, I know. That's the wildest thing about LeBron. Like I'm not a huge LeBron guy. I know you're not either. But the fact that
until the last year and a half, 2 years, hadn't had a lot of, and missteps is too strong of a word, had handled what came with early handpick stardom extremely well.
That was one of the things I was going to say. That's one of the things I'm most impressed with by him is he's basically been famous for 25 years now, starting at age 15, 16, whatever.
Yeah.
And what's the worst thing you can say about him?
Yeah, maybe a bad social take, maybe not bad. I'm just saying like
awkward.
Yeah, or
poorly timed.
Maybe going to Miami.
So that's the thing. The worst thing you can say about him is the decision and how he made the decision, right? But keep in mind, that whole thing ended up with $2 million to a Boys and Girls Club.
Yeah.
That's the worst thing anybody has to say about him.
Oh, allegedly.
I mean, maybe. They said it did.
That's the story I read.
As they say it did.
And to think this all started with Skinner misplaying a puck behind the net.
And 40,000 points later, LeBron somehow exceeded expectations.
Hockey, I think, has a fairly good success rate too.
That's fair. Yeah, that seems like it. I don't know a ton about it, but every time I hear like, we got Connor Bedard, or we got Connor McDavid, or we got Sidney Crosby, like they tend to hit.
And San Jose better be careful with that first pick, because as we've seen, you need more than a guy like they have in Chicago with Bedard.
We're coming up next. We'll get the lineup set for you, and we'll have more Hurrdat Sports Radio. We're back here on Hurrdat Sports Radio, AM 590, ESPN Omaha, ESPN Tri-Cities. We're live on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube. That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla here on the Pillar Exteriors stage. And I want to remind you that DB and I are actually going to have a special edition of Hurrdat Sports Radio tomorrow, 11 a.m., live from downtown, as we're going to be there for the College World Series. It'll be from 11 to 1. We will have college baseball coverage, obviously, but we will also have coverage of Nebraska's huge recruiting weekend as well.
It's a big one.
So
and the funny thing about this one, make sure you get us 11 to 1. We'll be at Zipline.
Yep.
Little party place. So come say hello to Ravi. What?
You don't want him to say hello to you?
I'll wave.
Okay.
I hear everybody at Zipline has always been so cool. So hopefully I'll feel at home.
Yeah, and I think we're like up a little bit, so we're kind of like separated from the crowd.
It's okay. I'm not weird. I like people will tell you I'm a lot better, and like I was fine yesterday out at Willow Lakes.
Mm-hmm.
Got a chance to see my man Smalls.
Yeah.
God, I missed that dude. So I copied his diet. I didn't bring it back up, but he's the guy that got me started on the turmeric, the cayenne, honey, and apple cider vinegar.
Yeah.
Yeah. Smalls shrunk in like 6 weeks. Is incredible.
Apple cider vinegar is disgusting.
It's so awful.
It's so bad.
Do you want a quick gross story?
Sure.
Glad you asked. I take it every morning.
Mm-hmm.
It's the only thing, because I don't eat. There aren't a lot of other things that maybe horseradish, but I don't eat it enough.
Mm-hmm.
It's the one thing that I could taste for a while. It gets the pre, the post, and the post toothbrush. It is so bad. You
gotta brush your teeth 3 times.
It's incredible. So the other funny thing is, this is so dumb, but I'm super like put the quarter in. Apple cider vinegar got me to be able to tolerate the terrible taste of Listerine. I am a scope guy,
Really?
a scope guy. And what's the other one you like? Somebody is blowing me up. I am working.
Crest?
Nope. You squeeze it. Shane, remember I couldn't figure out how it would pour. It has
Oh.
the little thing in it. And then I realized after like halfway through the bottle of fighting it that you squeeze it and it fills up. Listen, I took the whole thing off every time I wanted it.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm going to get another one. This is just too much effort.
Yeah.
Sometimes I just want to put it in the cap and go. But you're supposed to squeeze it.
Yeah.
And it fills up. You know
Yeah.
what I'm talking about?
I have no idea.
Damn it. But anyway, like Scope, and I like the ones without alcohol. I like the different colored one without the alcohol in it.
Yeah.
And I never felt like I was good.
Mhm.
So I'm like, fudge. Listerine tastes like boo-boo, but at least it's something other than apple cider vinegar.
Yeah.
So I took one for the team and used Listerine for a while. But I'm like, yeah, this ain't gonna last.
I just use whatever my wife buys.
I don't know how people can. I mean, shout out to Listerine if you want to, pay for Benning Bites or something. But like, I don't understand how people do Listerine.
Yeah, I don't like any of it. And so whatever the wife buys, I'm just like, we're just gonna choke it down. I mean, not actually swallow it, right? But you spit it back out.
It's awful. No, I'm kind of a swallower.
Yeah. The mouthwash.
It's freaking bats.
I'm a child. I'm sorry. What?
Go ahead and knock it off.
Shane, cut it.
I
I didn't think you were supposed to because it's got all that grime in there,
don't know.
right? Because like theoretically, you're supposed to like it gets stuff.
This dude's throwing his hands up in here like wasn't me. It absolutely was. Knock it off.
Like he just makes it up. You just
I'm gonna punch him right in the face.
because you got all the grimy stuff in your teeth. You're supposed to spit it back out, right?
Oh man, not in the morning. I haven't eaten anything.
Well, still, what are you using it for then?
And plus, sometimes, like when I'm in the car or I get out, like I'm super paranoid. I either have a hand. We were at a Nebraska practice,
Yeah,
and I'm very conscious because people, for whatever the reason, they get close to me when I talk, and I never want to be the guy that has bad breath. So, I keep all toys, but usually I take a little handful and I put it in my pockets. I'm like, oh, I got to talk to this person. So I didn't have any pockets.
yeah, like re-up.
I didn't have any pockets, so I asked Caleb to hold the case of Altoids. So they close out practice.
Yeah.
This dude practically throws the case back, and he got me walking around shaking like I got a bag full of pennies. I was like, sorry, bro.
Oh, my goodness.
I didn't want to be that guy either. He couldn't give it back to me fast enough.
That's how you know he's a good kid.
I don't like things in my pockets, though.
That's how you know he's a good kid. Is he went bag full of pennies and not a bag full of pills or something.
I don't even know he knows what that is.
That's how you knew he grew up on the right side of the
so
tracks.
I'm out on Listerine.
All right, there we go. That's mouthwash talk this morning here on Hurrdat
That's
Sports
apple
Radio.
cider vinegar.
I see.
Coming up on the show today, we've got Nick Torre. He'll be joining us at 8:30 to talk a little Florida Gators baseball.
Chomp.
At 9 a.m.
Act.
Huh?
It's Act.
What?
Thank you, B.
What's act? Oh, the other mouthwash.
Yes.
I was like,
Bro,
there's no act
It
in Nick
was-
Torre's name.
it was so just one of those things. I was 48 years old when I learned.
Yeah, that's not great.
Do you know what I'm talking
kind
about?
that
You squeeze it and it fills up on its own.
No,
I had no idea.
The one that I
I'll show
have,
you.
the one that I have is Act, and it doesn't do that.
Well, maybe you should.
They just got some regular ass act out there too.
Yeah.
All right. It's not the fancy one the DB bought.
No.
Which, by the way, my guy B,
Is it like the bottom filling like beer glasses that Vrzal
it's
has?
like the one when you go to the dentist and you like squeeze it and then it fills the cup up from the bottom.
I got nothing.
Am I speaking? I almost-
Portuguese.
That's not what I was going to
You're
say.
gonna, you're gonna say Hindi because you're
Yes,
racist.
I was because I'm mad at you.
Racist.
I'm not racist.
Mad at me? What did I do? I didn't say anything.
That was the problem. You laughed and giggled like a schoolgirl.
What am I supposed to say?
Hey, no offense to schoolgirls out there that like to laugh and giggle. I have one at home, so don't at me, idiots. Hey, all right, I see what kind of show this is going to be.
9
By the way, talking to him, go ahead, finish.
9 a.m. We got Mike Sautter from Hurrdat Sports.
Fresh off a tournament foursome win.
Yeah, how did that happen?
I don't know who must have swung it. Well, it must have been Dana White, Tyler Mosman, because
Yeah,
This dude's out here talking with like Greg Olson and those guys.
Yeah,
I'm like, really, Timos?
I think Sautter was just there for the vibes. We can ask him. We can ask him how he swung it.
So he gets very, very. You remember when we went into like that 1 month super hardcore training when he was going to wrestle?
Yeah, he's like
Mulligan?
competitive.
Yeah, so he was like on pins and needles this week because he hadn't been out. He hadn't had enough time to get out there and play golf. Like this dude never wants to embarrass himself.
Yeah, he told me he hadn't been out in a couple of years, so I'm curious how it went.
But he's competitive.
Yeah, but in golf that doesn't always matter. Like you gotta, like reps matter in golf.
Yeah.
So that'll be interesting to see.
1,000%.
We've got Ryan Brauninger. He covers Texas A&M. We'll talk about the Aggies coming up here at 9:30, and then we'll wrap up the show as we always do at 9:45 with the one and only Matt Vrzal, who's got those
Matt.
those bottom filling beer glasses I was talking about.
Yeah, he'll tell you about the knockdown drag out that we got into over Gifford.
Oh,
And it really wasn't about it. I mean, I was in a bad mood. I was in a bad headspace, and he always is. So it was just highly combustible.
You know what's funny about those little bottom filling beer glasses?
What?
Like I know how they work.
Oh, you're talking about at his place?
Yeah.
Yeah. So go ahead.
I know how they work.
Yeah.
But I'm an idiot, and so I kind of get like fidgety sometimes. Like I've got the little baseball, you've got the volleyball. Like we get fidgety, and so I'm kind of just messing around, and I decide it's a good idea, knowing how the glasses work, to push the little coin up from the bottom and spill my beer all over the place because I'm a moron.
Yeah. So that was one of the times that he like basically wanted help, but he didn't want help, and he kicked me out from behind the bar. We were hosting an event, and I could say we. I don't have a turd in my pocket, but I couldn't figure out. He showed me a couple times. You put the magnet in, you do this at the bottom, you set it on the deal.
Yeah.
And I screwed it up like once or twice. I mean, give your boy a chance to like make sure I get the magnet in the middle.
Yeah.
It was off a little bit, so it was a little leaky under the thing. And he goes, in typical, almost said a word I can't say.
Don't say that on the air.
In typical,
Burrs.
it's not really a cuss word, but anyway,
Burrs.
fashion. He gives me the, give it here. And it's like, do you know how, like, I don't know, for some people, you like rather get cussed out.
Yeah.
Than to have somebody. It's kind of the sigh he gave me the other day when I didn't realize I was supposed to have a dummy account.
Yeah.
Like those make you feel way worse than him just calling you some
X, Y, and Z and whatever.
Because
like,
give it here.
Burrs cursing at you is like breathing.
Yeah,
right. Like that's just whatever.
no big deal.
It's no big deal.
Yeah.
That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla. We will be back here on AM 590 ESPN Omaha, ESPN Tri-Cities. Coming up next to wrap up hour number 1 on Hurrdat Sports Radio. We are back. Wrapping up hour number 1 here on Hurrdat Sports Radio, AM 590 ESPN Omaha, ESPN Tri-Cities. We're live on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube. That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla here on the Pillar exterior stage. Shane Schillerberg's over there somewhere.
He's an idiot.
It
He's
is
over there low-key laughing, making fun. He went and Googled.
It was a little Charlie Brown house.
I mean, oh, that's the kind of land you were talking about.
I had to see what you're talking about exactly.
Yeah, I know one thing though.
I'm just sitting here in ignorance still. If
the second segment comes back up to haunt me, I'm just telling you we're gonna have some speaks. Okay.
Shane, don't we have a best of show coming up on July 4th?
You're an idiot too. That's pretty cool how I look out for you guys, and everybody can't wait to just flip a helicopter on in on their boy. That's all right.
Yeah, well, yeah, I know.
Yep, I know, Art. I got you guys.
So we've got some visits coming up here to Nebraska this weekend.
Big weekend.
Couple big weekends in a row here.
Back to backers.
We've got some. I mean,
you got Friday Night Lights tonight.
Your boy CJ is the headliner of the week.
So that's how good this weekend is. Is Christian Jones the headliner?
I said a headliner. He's one of the best guys in the group for sure. You got
hard to believe next weekend could pale. Now we'll see who actually shows up. Could potentially pale to this weekend because this weekend is huge. This is a big boy weekend.
Yep,
this is for the big boys.
Yeah, for the
not the little light quick guys.
No, this is a trenches weekend.
It is. They need to start hitting.
Alofa Tuli coming in from Bishop Gorman.
Yep.
I don't know if I said that right, but I said it quick and with confidence, so I'm going to stick with it.
Speaking of confidence, if you get one, I think you can get two.
Ooh, okay.
Well,
Which
we're
one?
going back to backers with
Alofa Tuli and
with
then
Bishop Gorman.
Bishop Gorman guys.
Yep.
Okay. Let's bring them all in. Isn't Ruggieri a Bishop Gorman guy too? I don't know. I still don't know how they got him to walk on. He's a good player. He's not he had options.
Color me very, very curious.
Like that's an interesting connection if they can build that pipeline up with Bishop Gorman.
Got to start hitting on some D line too.
Yep.
My man Lance, not Michigan. My other guy LBZ.
Mm-hmm. We got Malcolm Simpson coming in from Texas, D lineman.
Yep.
Kind of an edge guy more, but you've got some guys in this class. You got Tapu from Utah coming in, big offensive tackle guy.
You know who we should put on the Utah guys?
Who
is our boss? He's a Utah guy. Spends a lot of time there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, maybe
he knows people. He's connected.
Let's get some. You know, maybe
he could tell you about the greatness of the state of Nebraska.
My brother lived in Utah for a little bit.
Raj doesn't sound much like a recruiting guy, though.
Nah, probably not.
Okay. Bill, consummate recruiting guy.
Yeah, I feel like Bill could do some recruiting. Raj maybe could. I don't know.
Dude can talk. We need a couple. We need some of the heavies.
You need some of the. That's where you build it. You build it up front. As we mentioned, your guy Christian Jones coming in as well. We do have a little light, quick guy coming in, although he's currently committed to Oregon, but he's visiting here.
Well, they're not afraid to shoot their shot, are they?
Oh yeah, that's one of your Kansas City area guys.
You may be committed to somebody else, but that's okay.
I mean, listen, you want to show up. How's that my problem?
Yeah, and it's not
like an Oregon.
It's not like basketball or volleyball. Once you say you're committed, schools typically back off. Nah, man, football is
free for all.
Yeah,
that's why
scruples is a relative term.
That's why people are talking about a summer signing period. Those are kind of your headliners. You also have Hammerbeck, the offensive tackle from South Dakota, coming in as well. Then you got a handful of commits already, like Bear Tenney, Bryson Hayes, Connor Booth will be there. It's a big weekend.
I'll be curious to see what the thoughts are on Bear. He seemed like early on before he said yes, he seemed like a guy that enjoyed being recruited. I'll be curious to get because I wait, right? I don't.
You're a wait and see guy.
Well, I need to know more about like
their personality.
Yep.
How they're wired.
Yep. That's the one thing I think I'm like.
That's your best sense.
It is.
Right. And that's not to say you're not good at evaluating the physical stuff.
It is. I can look at that. I just don't know. Like I'm always gonna, at the end of the day, it's gonna boil down to a handful of things.
Yeah.
Because I've seen just too many
super talented guys.
Really gifted guys. One of the best players I ever saw physically, barely anybody from Nebraska ever remembers. In 93 or 4, he came in with Leslie Dennis. Nebraska was on this stretch of Manatee guys. Bradenton. This dude,
Tommy was,
started the pipeline. Him and or Tyrone Williams. Justin Stevens was a linebacker that Nebraska got in that was flat out terrifying. Big, fast. Had the gold front before people made it fashionable.
Yeah.
I mean, straight out of the 2 Live crew, right? He was so flipping good. I mean, an absolute terror when he was redshirting on scout team. And we had all these little insight. Ask anybody that was either on that defense or was on one of the top 2 offensive units that had to go against in scout team.
Yeah.
And for whatever the reason, man, just couldn't
put it together.
No. And he had boys there. Like Leslie was there. Tyrone Williams was there. We were talking about highlight films the other day. Tyrone Williams still has one of the top 3 or 4 highlight films I've ever seen.
Really?
You're talking about Noah Devine?
Yeah.
Tyrone Williams was like, I don't know, man. My dude was like Bill Walsh, 94, man. He was.
That's a reference.
He was incredible. Yeah. I'm like, this dude's better than T. Fraze. Tommy'd be like, yeah, right.
Yeah, he's playing defense now.
but like we hadn't seen a ton of highlight films. Like people weren't really doing them.
Yeah, that wasn't nearly as much.
We're like,
put in the tape.
Yeah, let's roll film.
Yeah, now you just get online. So it just like for talent, I like talent, but I also like I also like guys show some fortitude and can hang in there. We were talking about quarterbacks coming back in the Metro and the ability to deal with having to share the ball. I was telling my buddy, and the mouthwash thing got me thinking about him because he's coming back. His son is a quarterback at Central, BJ Newsom, and ton of experience. He should be in the discussion of experienced quarterbacks coming back.
Okay.
This flies under the radar at Central because they haven't made a playoff run yet. A lot of
And he probably gets overshadowed by a lot of the young talent that's getting offers and stuff like that.
You still got Pittman there. You still got Haney there. I think Liggins is going to be pretty sweet.
Yeah.
Now, granted, they've had a few defections, but that staff is willing to live with it, right? I think they're still reshaping that culture the way that they want it to. And if you're a Central guy, they want to ride with Central guys. But
it's not going to be for everybody.
No, but BJ's a guy, and I told his dad this a couple of weeks ago because he was – he's doing the camp thing. And he's one of those guys that you described the other day about quarterbacks that they're out there.
That don't play the game.
Yep. And just need like
6'1", 180.
And he's not that big yet, but he's a good natural thrower of the football.
Guys that just don't do the camp stuff and don't play the game to get the offers.
Yeah. And we kept getting interrupted, so I had to call him back like every 6 seconds. But I was traveling on 72nd Street, which for whatever the reason, east to west, north to south is an absolute nightmare.
It's the worst.
I can't believe it.
Driving north to south on 72nd is the worst street
and
in the
84th
city.
Isn't any better either.
No, it's the worst street in the city, though.
So I'm like, next time, note to self, go to 96. But anyway, we're talking. I remember the last thing I said to him, because he's got Ackerman and Elijah Wayne and some of these guys in Pittman and can hand the ball off to Haney. And I said, you know what, the thing that I like about BJ is he doesn't have to, because you have to look at this as an opportunity. He's lost some weapons on the outside. I said, but here's the thing that you can hang your hat on with him is he's the G word. He's just kind of grimy. Good kid, minds his own business, and you don't have as much stress to force feed or to get guys or to make sure because you could just tell he's a product of how he's been raised. So not a selfish guy. So now you just get to look at it as an opportunity. You get to exhale, just go play ball, right? No pressure. Ride with the guys that want to get
riding with you.
That want to get in the car with you.
Yeah. Don't
worry about who else you can go pick up, right? So
don't worry about who you can go pick up. Don't worry about who wants to get out.
Yeah.
Ride with the guys that want to be in the car.
So that's one of those quarterbacks that I think we should probably quietly keep an eye on.
Yeah.
Because they have some good young I'm not sure about what they're going to do up front. But and I get the whole Prince going to Millard South thing, and everybody's kind of in their feels about that, and I understand. I do, but just keep whatever school you're at. Do the culture thing. Culture, especially at the high school level, it matters everywhere. Just ask the Cowboys, but especially at the high school level, culture you can win a lot of games with it. Just stay together. Stay together.
Well, and
because other schools won't.
A lot of other schools won't. And the other thing with high school is there's only so many, and there's a lot more right now than there has been in the past. But there's only so many of those like high level guys, right?
Yeah.
Everybody below that is probably not playing past high school. They maybe are playing like some D2, NAIA ball, whatever. But this is kind of the it for them for their football careers.
Yeah, good
football players.
Really good high school teams, really good college teams, really good NFL teams. They get their 4th, 5th, and 6th rounders to maximize.
Yeah. And there's a lot of in this scenario, your 4th, 5th, and 6th rounders are guys that aren't going to play past high school, but they're really good high school football players, right?
1,000%.
And those are the guys that you usually need at some point because most teams aren't going to be either like Millard South, where you got 8, 10 guys that are going to have Division I offers, or like 03 Millard North, where you have 8, 10, 12 guys with Division I offers on that team. Most teams are going to have maybe 1 or 2.
Yeah.
And then you got 20 other starters that you got to figure out. And how do you figure it out? Is make sure the culture's right. That's a good place to start. That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla. We've got more Hurrdat Sports Radio coming up next. Kicking off hour number 2 here on Hurrdat Sports Radio, AM 590, ESPN Omaha, ESPN Tri-Cities. We're live on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube. That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla here on the Pillar Exterior stage. My guy Rory McElroy just, happened to be in contention. I don't know who brought that up yesterday. I don't, just
John Rathouse.
no.
Quiet, please.
I did.
Get on your podcast.
I did.
So let's just get over that.
No.
Is that Kim? I think that's Kim. I miss Diane too.
Jack and Diane? A little ditty?
No.
Little
Nobody's
ditty?
really nice to me on this show, but Diane would, she'd always like say hello and what up, Damon, and
What up,
So let's
Damon?
get over that.
yeah, that would be
Diane?
the Sicilian stiletto. No,
that was Kim.
Kim actually likes you.
Yeah.
She's mean to me.
I'm so nice to
Sorry.
you.
No,
Just not on the air.
I thought
But
about
I
that.
mean, you hear MC rival saying that. Like, oh, what's
You
going
know
on?
how it's like steam. Is that Avery?
No,
Yeah.
it's still Kim. It's the Kim hour.
Yeah, that sounded like Avery.
I
though.
think that one was Avery. I think you mislabeled that one, Shano.
But I mean, when you hear MC rival saying that, like, oh, let's play now.
That's
Yeah,
totally
that's
Avery.
definitely not
That's
Kim.
Kim.
That's 100% not
Are
Kim.
you?
Oh, I can go to Avery.
What'd you put in that vape today, Shano?
I can go to Avery here.
I just learned the Simadonna from yesterday, so I'm cool today. But I am
Donna
kinda-
Summer?
I am kind of like on the verge. It's like,
Hold the hand.
do I
Hold the hand.
do I have the shakes? Guess what I didn't take this morning? Because we'd all been in trouble. I'd have for sure been at the house.
What's that?
Need another job. I did no spark this morning.
That's probably good.
Yeah, because I just know.
Can't rev too high.
Nah.
Yeah.
And I was already kind of dicey.
You know what's funny is you take Spark to like rev high. I drink my energy drinks just to get to baseline.
Well, I think so. What people so since I've been back, I think people think I'm in a. What did Sindelar say to you about me?
He asked if you were which one.
Where he's like he's just unusually happy.
I think
He's like I didn't know he had that in him or something like that.
yeah, he said you were a lot more I don't remember what term he used, but kind of like
Plucky.
like
That's what
a little more loose, like a little more comfortable.
I don't use the word plucky. Just say
Sure.
I was guessing what he would have said.
Just a plucky underdog. You think? No, Alex probably used like 18 expletives.
Yeah.
He gets after it, which I appreciate. That's one of the things him and I have in common.
Between turning and burning his spirits.
I think he's an American Spirits guy.
Yeah.
He burns grits. He really does. It's great. That's the only time him and Stibbs are the only time I smoke cigarettes.
I miss Dibs.
Is we'll go get some beers or whatever, and I get to like 4
So
drinks.
what are
in.
you in high school? You sound like those girls that you wanted to date that you didn't want them to smoke, and they go, "I always smoke when I drink." And you're like, "Well, how often you drinking?" We're in high school.
I smoke cigars, because I like cigars, but I've never been a cigarette smoker. But like I don't know
You
what.
sound like a 19-year-old.
Well, I don't know.
You just all of a sudden lose like
No, it's just they go out.
the compass starts spinning.
No, they just like go outside.
I have a buzz. I need to smoke.
I don't need to. It's just I want to go outside with them, and it's weird if you're just standing there.
Oh, listen to you. You want your hand held?
No, I just want to hang out with my friends.
You gump. It only takes 70 seconds for them to go smoke. They can't go mind their own business.
No, they
Hey, I have to go to the restroom. Do you want to go?
yeah, we go to PAX.
You guys serious?
No, well, I can't hang out with my friends while I smoke a cigarette.
Nah, man, you do you.
I'm trying, but you out here judging.
Pot meat light brown. Really? Really?
Surprise!
Yes, indeed.
Never mind. Tandoori oven meat kettle. Let's get to Kim.
Dude, can you teach me how to do the clay pot?
No, I can't. I don't know how to cook. You think I can't?
Why do you have to answer me like that?
I can't because I don't cook.
Yeah, like he's. Listen,
Knock
it off this morning, all right?
You know I don't cook.
I sense the level of frustration in that answer.
You can. It's because I don't cook.
But you might know how to do like the whole ghost thing with Demi Moore and make me one of those clay pots.
You think I just know pottery? Just like that? I could just.
Well, isn't that the key to tandoori? Is the oven?
I have no idea.
Oh my! How did you not learn anything? I'm not from Africa, but I know some cultural traditions. Jeez. What is that too much?
No, it's just right.
I better stop.
What's that?
I totally
listen.
I'm still mad from this morning.
I know some cultural traditions. I don't know how to cook.
All right.
In any culture,
you don't have to be so frustrated.
in any tradition, in any type of oven.
Okay.
I
fine.
do not know how to cook.
Note to self: don't ask Ravi any
Either
more Indian questions.
Tandoori or clay pot, or if you want to talk to me about like
You can cook other ways. You can cook with the stove.
Here he goes.
You can use the grill. You can use. I mean, there's lots of different. You don't have to use the oven. I mean, you could throw a lot of different things. I mean, you could use yogurt. You want to go back to that.
Serenity now.
I'm just saying, there's different ways.
Woosah. I can't even get to my ears right now. Woosah.
Boy,
Lord, grant me the strength to know the things I cannot change.
you're dang right.
Let's get to Kim.
Oh Lord.
I think hopefully Kim's here to defend me against the vicious attacks I've been.
Your Honor. Objection. You can't just lead somebody into that.
That's what I always do. You know this.
God.
Kim, what's up? You want to talk about Mason Miller?
Oh Lord.
Oh, sure. I'll talk about Mason Miller, but Ravi, before I defend you, I need to defend myself.
Fair enough.
That drop was not me. That's one.
Thank you.
I'm like,
Shane, that was obviously our coworker Avery Howard, and you're just like, nope,
hey,
it's
listen,
Kim.
I'm pretty.
Let's get over that.
I already
That
questioned
one's
his
Kim.
hygiene. I'm sure she's sporting about 18 candles between those lobes, Kim. He just can't hear very well.
Sorry. Okay, so number 2, Damon, I'm not always mean to you. I just call you out when you need to be corrected, which is like 99% of the time.
Right, like 94% of your drops, I'm getting my wrist slapped over something.
Well, maybe that's
And then you vouch for ding dongs like Vrzal, who's absolutely not a nice person.
Oh, that's because I have, Matt and I've got, I don't know.
She got a little crush on
our
Vrzal,
pick on Damon kind of thing.
Who in their
Or
right
pick on
mind
Damon
would have
bonding.
a crush on Vrzal?
I think she got a little crush on Vrzal.
I did not say. Wait, I didn't say I have a crush on him. I said. I said we had a mutual
people in the world, but you're not one of the most beautiful. How does that happen?
That sounds a little.
I'm just
that
saying,
sounds
a little bit like
little
you got
crushy.
a crush on Vrzal, Kim. I'm not trying to call you out here, but
Well, we mutually bonded over giving Damon crap, so that was easy.
Shocker.
But I have to ask Damon one question, and I'll quit picking on Damon.
Okay, what's up?
You swallow soap, but you won't eat marinara. What the hell?
It's timing, Kim. It's timing. So, let's say, well, they both were about timing. I was very, very hungry, so I gave in to eating the meatballs, even though historically that wouldn't have been something I picked. I did not want to waste the food, so I ate it. I did what I had to do. But then with the mouthwash, I carry the little small ones and stuff. So when you're opening your car door or something, you just don't want to see people see you spit. And I take it before I get out. So sometimes I just swallow it. It's okay, right? No, you're
there are a lot of drops right in that whole conversation right there. There are a lot of drops.
Well, can you imagine somebody just getting out of their vehicle and you just see this this projectile?
Yeah.
It's like, what's wrong with this dude? Right.
And then it comes out and it's green. By the way, I'm a Listerine person. So
I see. I just don't. I don't understand. It's not even minty. What's the point?
Yeah, but it burns, and that makes you feel like you're doing something because it burns.
You know what? I kind of could get that. That's why I never got away from bar soap. Bar soap gave me the illusion I was getting cleaner. And I'm black.
Yeah,
so
and then Ravi doesn't need to learn how to cook. He's got a wife that's amazing.
Yeah, but he says she doesn't like to cook for him.
It's true. She doesn't cook at home because she's does it all day at work. So we
tired of cooking.
Yeah, we just go out to eat most of the time, or
first world
problems. Although I would like to learn how to cook some Indian food.
Don't ask Ravi.
My dad's got you covered. My dad is the master.
Apparently, he gets offended
because you know me and you know I don't cook.
Let's not act like
I
you
will
would
say
ask
that
me
they-
how to make good fried chicken. You absolutely would.
Because you cook, not because you're black. Because you cook.
Wow.
This is a really funny conversation.
I'm not just like going up.
Because he's over here fibbing.
I'm not just like going up to every black guy. Be like, hey, can you help me out with some fried chicken, bud? You got any Rex?
Well, I don't really hang out with any other Indian people, so just because I ask you doesn't mean that I'm pigeonholing you. Fudge.
I asked you because
All right,
I know
Robbie,
you cook. Go ahead,
Okay,
Kim.
Ravi, we have a Mason Miller question here. Is he beefing up over the summer?
I hope
Putting on some
so.
weight?
I think so. He's
Needs to put a little weight on. That's going to be the differentiator between him and Jackson McAndrew, I think, is
but McAndrew's going to play.
McAndrew's going to play, but I think how much McAndrew plays is going to depend on how strong he is and how much he can hold up physically in the Big East. And if Mason's able to kind of keep that edge over him physically, it'll give him an opportunity to earn some more minutes. They're both going to play. Trout's going to play, although I've heard Trout's like gone the opposite direction. He's slimming down a little bit, which is good.
Which was good for him.
Yeah, I think he's so you got a lot of options at that 4 spot. I actually think it's a really good spot for Creighton.
We also have one open scholarship.
Eat it.
Anybody?
Just eat it.
Anybody?
Just hold on to it. You just hold on to it. You gotta, you never know when something's gonna come up, right? So you gotta,
Right.
They usually try and keep one open, unless they find a guy they really want to spend a flyer on.
I think we need somebody that can get to the basket like Tyshawn Alexander used to, or Marcus Foster. That's all I'm saying.
You know what would have been really cool if they had recruited St. Thomas, who was in their backyard.
I know.
I can't wait to watch him. I can't wait to watch him with Musselman.
Now plays at USC, which I don't know if you know this. Eric Musselman is a pretty good basketball coach. If you can play at USC for Musselman, you probably could play at Creighton.
I can't stand Eric Musselman. Oh my God.
I'm not
really. Why?
I'm not a fan.
Is he just too over the top?
He's a weirdo, but he's.
Did you see what he did in that Maui tournament? He was I almost said something. He's a jerk. Let's just say he was a jerk.
This guy rents an Airbnb on the beach, so when they do transfer portal and recruiting calls, the staff goes over there and Zooms and FaceTime so they can see the beach.
Oh my God!
Oh yeah,
that's pretty smart, actually.
It's really smart.
I mean, because what says SC in being across the street from Watts than doing Zoom calls?
Well, yeah, I mean,
from the beach.
He's just
hey, just a short drive down Pacific Coast Highway.
He's lying. It's smart. But he's lying.
Hey,
Yeah.
Our school's behind gates, but don't worry about that.
What do you want?
The beach is just a short traffic drive.
You want him to have like South Central in the background? Like, what do you want him to do?
All right.
He's just gonna have. He's just gonna
have a great weekend, guys.
Thanks, Kim. He's just gonna have Ice Cube and like Straight Outta Compton right in his background. They're like, what do you want him to do? It's smart.
You don't think you can get some hoopers by just holding up a cheeseburger? Anybody want this cheeseburger? You probably didn't see Menace to Society, did you?
Nope.
Of course not.
I thought you were doing another black thing here, and I was like, cheeseburger's not the food item I'd have gone with there. I'm not gonna tell you what food item I would have gone with there because
all right,
I value my employment. Okay. You good?
Huh?
You good?
Mm-hmm.
You all right?
You asked me the same question last year, Eric.
You seem very hurt right now.
I'm good.
You seem very hurt right now. You're gonna be all right?
Also, for what it's worth, I would never ask you how to make anything. I would just be like, "Hey, will you make me something?" And then you wouldn't.
That's probably true.
Because I've been waiting on some more of those burnt ends for a couple months now.
I am gonna do those.
Okay.
Probably around not this weekend, but next weekend.
Okay. I mean, I'll go to the grocery store if you need me. I'll do.
Yeah, it's called a packer. Corned beef. It's a packer. You can go right across the street, Restaurant Depot.
Yeah, you're gonna have to go with me because I don't know what any of that means.
We're gonna do this thing again. We're gonna keep this thing rolling.
I'm not asking for handouts. Like I'll pay for the burnt ends. I just want the burnt ends.
I got you.
But you are gonna have to facilitate the purchase because I don't know.
And you can get lost in there. It's a pretty cool little spot.
I don't know any of the words you just said except for burnt ends.
It's the flat and the point come together.
Is that like throwing out to a back in the flat? You just those swing passes, they're harder than they look.
Yeah, for $275 million, you better get better at that.
My guy, the generational talent, Trevor Lawrence, got paid.
That's fine.
He got the
For whatever the reason, enjoy that.
fat stat. No, I actually don't care if he's good or not. Because
that is so you. A guy that you, literally first person shooter mode, right? Just standing on business.
Yeah.
Now you don't care if he's good or not.
I never cared if he was good because the talent and production are two different things.
Unbelievable.
I don't care what he produces because the talent is there. And if you want to disagree with me, that's fine, but you're wrong. The talent is obvious. The production, listen, he turns the ball over a ton. I get it. He also took Jacksonville to a playoff win, which is not easy.
Yeah.
I just,
like almost impossible, right? Like Bortles did when he beat the Steelers. And Blake Bortles will forever live in like the lore of great Jacksonville quarterbacks. Get out of here with that, man.
That's ridiculous.
Like, are we going to act like Blake Bortles didn't do that?
Oh, he did.
Okay.
Which is the best thing.
Would you have, so like you just wake up thinking of Blake Bortles? Because you wouldn't.
All the time.
Well, he took him. They got a playoff dub.
They got a couple playoff dubs with Blake Bortles. I think two, maybe one. I don't know.
So that was your quantifier? Getting Jacksonville to
No, I'm saying that's one of the things that he's done.
And the worst division of that season?
I'm saying it's one of the things that he's done. It's not super easy to do.
Although the NFC South would like to have a word with me there, but
I'm just saying it doesn't. My argument does not impinge on whether or not Trevor Lawrence actually produces anything. He could throw like a Jameis Winston number of interceptions this year, and I'd be like, yeah, he's still talented. He's just bad at football. Like there's a difference.
So I went back and I was looking at like the Tom Brady speech that was making the rounds yesterday morning.
Yeah.
I went down a quarterback rabbit hole.
Which I texted you like the instant you tweeted it out, which was strange.
Yeah. It was almost it's pretty much, like us in 590, the simulcast. Like it was almost like right then.
Yeah.
So I just went down a quarterback rabbit hole of like prolific quarterbacks. And I started in like the 2000s just to see
give me a name like where you started.
I'm trying to remember who like Carson Palmer 05.
Ooh, I like Carson Palmer.
So Carson Palmer is a guy that I always loved.
Well, you're an SC guy.
And like people would give me a hard time that
Carson
he wasn't
really good.
Productive enough, right?
He was in a terrible franchise for a long time.
But he went like, I don't know, 36 and 16 or something like that, touchdowns, interceptions. And so I did like Kirk Cousins was, by the way, do you know who doesn't ever throw interceptions?
Who?
This is crazy. Jared Goff does not throw picks.
He really doesn't. He really doesn't.
Would you like to, give me a number and say greater than or less than for career interceptions for Jared Goff. Now, keep in mind,
so he's been in the
he's thrown for 30,000 yards.
So he's been in the league since 16? Is that right? So we're talking about 7-8 years. Interceptions, let's call it.
There's only he's done something that only two quarterbacks have done, and the other is Aaron Rodgers.
Okay, so let's call it 8 years. I'm probably going to end up a little high here. I'm going to assume less than 10 a year. Let's call it 64.
Yeah, he's got his interception. He's like 97 He has less than 100 interceptions. Yeah. So he's thrown for over 30,000 yards and less than 100 interceptions. Aaron Rodgers has over 50K.
Mm-hmm.
How many INTs you think Aaron Rodgers has thrown?
Oh,
it's greater. This is tough. It's technically greater than 100.
119, 120.
What do you mean technically greater? It either is more than 100 or it's not.
But it's close though. It's close.
It's not. Okay.
It's 105. But where I was going with this with Tom Brady, he had a year. The year he threw 50 touchdowns.
Mm-hmm.
How many interceptions do you think did TB throw?
11.
8.
It's pretty good,
dude.
It's not bad.
What are we doing?
Throwing dimes. What we're doing.
It's just weird, like what the barometer is for what we look at and what we're willing.
Yeah.
Like Patrick Mahomes is in a whole nother stratosphere. When you look at his statistical yardage, the amount of touchdowns, and how little this dude actually turns the ball over. We were lamenting over Favre for going 30, 37, and 22.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you're not even 2-1.
Yeah, it's a lot of interceptions. It's a lot of interceptions.
I don't know. I just think
I'm not a Favre guy though either. So I
and so I'm looking at guys, because everybody's high on the Colts.
Mm-hmm.
Anthony Richardson. I'm like, well, Anthony Richardson.
We know absolutely nothing about Anthony Richardson.
But if he true to form, if he doesn't turn the ball over,
mm-hmm.
like that's automatically a different deal. It just puts you in a different category.
What historically do we get from young quarterbacks, especially young mobile quarterbacks? They turn the ball over a ton.
Yeah. Makes C.J. Stroud look pretty elite.
Yeah, C.J. Stroud looks incredible.
Yeah, it doesn't.
If he can replicate that again, then we'll be like, okay, this is real, right?
Yeah. Trevor Lawrence throws a lot of picks.
Yeah, he throws a ton of interceptions.
Like I don't get it, but
I mean, some guys.
But like you said, he doesn't have to be good.
He doesn't, because he's already talented. I mean, they're not giving him that contract on what's happened. They're giving him that contract because they think he can still be what his talent would dictate.
No, I think it's actually he's better than what's out there, and it's the cost of doing business for. Dude, Tua may get $50 million.
Tua statistically probably deserves $50 million more than Trevor Lawrence does.
I would agree. Even skinny Tua.
I mean, we don't know about skinny Tua yet.
Have you watched him?
I've seen him, but he
already looked like he was going to be broken in half. Why would he do that?
I only know about thick with 2 C's Tua. I don't know about skinny Tua. What? When you're little like that, you kind of need to.
I don't know sometimes whether to put my arm around you and pat your head like you don't know any better, or to try to put you in a guillotine and just get it over with.
Oh, I definitely think you're closer to choking the life out of me than giving me a hug. That's fine, though.
Thick with 2 C's. Like, it's still 8:15, man.
Yeah.
Like, what's going on?
It's 8:22.
I'll take it.
Like,
we got some time.
Doing some good things.
Well, it's like those littler guys. You got to be thick to.
Is that a word?
Littler?
Is that worse than purpler?
No, littler is an actual word.
Okay. Are you sure?
Yeah.
Why not just say smaller?
How in that?
Because I like littler.
But it has 2 syllables and an LE.
And
littler.
So
why can't I use purpler but not littler? It's the same. It's
the
same English rules.
You remember we were just talking about English?
Yeah.
How it doesn't really make any sense, and it kind of just does what it wants.
I'll
look it up at the break for you.
I don't know.
Littler's a word.
I don't want to lose lunch, man. I need to bag that.
Yeah, I still owe you
$20
one.
meal.
I still owe you one.
You know how many burgers I can get at? I'll walk into this kitchen, and I can use our discount. Ooh, you know what? I could make $20 seem like 24.
Woo!
Let's go.
Woo!
You know what I could? You know what I could eat off this menu for $24? A ton.
More than you can eat at some other places that are a little bit overpriced that a lot of people might go down to this weekend.
Stop it.
Speaking of Mason Miller, anyway, the show will continue next with Nick Torre here on Hurrdat Sports Radio. Talk about Florida baseball. We are back here on Hurrdat Sports Radio, AM 590, ESPN Omaha, ESPN Tri-Cities. We're live on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube. That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla on the Pillar Exterior stage. We are joined now by Nick Torre of Gators Online. Nick, how are you this morning?
Doing well. Thanks for having me on, guys.
I appreciate you.
Nick, how I assume you've landed in Omaha already? How's it going so far?
It's not bad. We're getting used to it, covering this Florida team. So it almost feels like the summer home for me. I hit the Drover last night and looking forward to watching some baseball today.
Let me guess. You went with the whiskey filet.
Whiskey ribeye.
Smart. Hey, well, I'm not a whiskey guy, but I am team ribeye, Nick.
Guy,
so
yeah.
Good on you for at least picking the proper cut of meat. Does beef taste different here, Nick?
I don't know. I don't know if it does. It was a delicious steak here. We've got some good steakhouses in Florida, but I like the Drover. It's interesting because the owners, their son plays football at Florida.
Mm-hmm.
So I got to talk to Mrs. Lizzie last night after our dinner, and
hey, she's a hoot, isn't she?
Yeah, we talked about her son, and she started asking us why he isn't playing more, and I was like, "Listen, I just cover the team. I'm not in charge of the snap."
That's all I needed to say about that.
Get on the horn to Billy Napier. Let's see what's going on.
Well, he's just hoping to keep his job, right? I mean, he's got to pretty much be on the hot seat not to go off football
because he's not playing the kid from Omaha. That's what his problem is. Nick, if I had told you, I don't know, let's say a month ago that Florida would be playing in Omaha this week, what would you have told me?
What sport? Yeah, it's interesting. I go to a lot of ball practices, and I'll go and take my football work over to baseball. And I thought, man, it's hard to replace BC Riopel, Josh Rivera, Wyatt Langford, Hurston Waldrip, Brandon Spur. Hard to replace those guys. I was like, man, they might have done it. These guys are really good. And then we lost to St. John's on opening night. And at the time, we didn't know that St. John's was going to go to a regional and be a good team. But for one reason or another, Florida just couldn't withstand or build momentum and hold it. And they won games 2 through 6. They went on a 5-game winning streak, and then didn't win more than 2 in a row the rest of the year. And anytime they got a little bit of momentum, they would lose it. So it's kind of been a frustrating year because when I watch them in the fall, I think, man, these guys are good. And then they just make you look like a liar the whole year after you told people, told listeners that, hey, this is going to be a good team. It's been interesting to watch them down the stretch here because you're kind of seeing what we saw in the fall. Now they have a ton of injuries. Their starting right fielder broke his wrist the second to last weekend. His replacement tore his ACL 4 days later. The Gatorade National Player of the Year, a pitcher, Christian Rodriguez, it had elbow surgery before the season started. So it's funny that Florida's making this run now after even more injuries late in the year.
So how much of this, and we talk about their offensive prowess, right? I mean, the ability to leave the ballpark, and while they swing and miss a ton, they can collect extra bags in a hurry. How much of this has to do with the late health and development of a young pitching staff? They've been able to go deep. The regional took some efforts and some arms, as did the super. How much of it is about quietly the pitching staff rounding into some depth?
Yeah, a lot of it. There's Florida, I think in this transfer portal age, there's a lot of 23, 24-year-old guys on rosters. In Florida, 11 of their 18 pitchers were true freshmen. And then you lost a bunch of them. So Florida relied heavily on, that's kind of what Kevin O'Sullivan does. He has some of the best high school recruiting classes, and you end up, being a little bit younger than guys. It's taken some time for a guy like Liam Peterson, who's going to start against Texas A&M, to round into form. And it's taking a long time for guys like Luke McNeely, who's a freshman, Frank Menendez, who's a freshman, and then Fisher Jamison, I think, has probably been the story, the guy that we don't talk about enough. He only had 21 outings between his freshman and sophomore year, and now he leads the team in appearances as a junior. And he's been phenomenal for Florida here down the stretch out of the bullpen.
We're talking about
not to mention Brandon Neely, who threw 272 pitches over his last 4 outings.
We're talking with Nick Del Torre of Gators Online. Nick, how do you, as you're kind of figuring out your expectations for Florida State here in Omaha, how do you weigh what you've seen over the last couple of weeks in postseason play versus what you saw over the course of most of the season, where Florida struggled in a lot of ways? Like, do you feel like what you've seen the last couple of weeks is who Florida is now, or do you look at it more as an outlier?
It's who Florida can be. It's taking some hero performances, Brandon Neely, Fisher Jamison, some guys who you thought could play to a certain level but just didn't during the year, are now starting to play towards that, maybe progressing towards the mean because they were underperforming, in my opinion. But Florida can be frustrating. I was doing radio on the way up to Clemson, and I told them Florida is as likely to have a 7-run inning as they already give up a 7-run inning. And then that first game, they scored 7 in the 5th against Clemson. So the baseball guys must have been listening to me on the drive up to Clemson. But that's just kind of the way it's been. And because of injuries, the bullpen's not as deep as they typically are. So you need guys to, one, have good starts. If Florida gets 3 innings from Liam Peterson tomorrow against Texas A&M, they're going to be in a lot of trouble bullpen-wise the rest of the week. So they need to get good starts, but you're also getting some great performances from guys who struggled this year early on.
So what is it about Sully's personality? Because, and we usually get him, a handful of 3 or 4 weeks of the year. We'll get when he's here and either in the regionals or on his way to the Super, where he's very, very intense. He's very straightforward. He's very direct. But you mentioned he does do a really with high school guys in terms of his recruiting and development. What are we missing about his personality that we don't hear in interviews that you think he doesn't get enough credit for?
I think the biggest thing is he puts guys in the majors, and that's very attractive. I think if you look at his track record, there's a lot of big leaguers that played for Kevin O'Sullivan. They do a really good job of protecting arms, which is funny because I just talked about Brandon Neely throwing so much. But Brady Singer, for instance, was a 2nd-round guy picked by the Blue Jays in the 2nd round. And he said, I'm just going to go to Florida. And it's probably better chartering planes around the SEC than it is taking buses through Indianapolis and Alabama, taking buses and playing 6 days a week. And you come to a school like Florida and you're going to travel much nicer. So I think it's just winning. He is an intense coach. And I know he'll get into it with guys, and some guys may not enjoy playing for him at the time, but when you look back on it, he's a coach that gets the best out of you. And I think that's really what drives people to Florida is you see his track record. You hear him talk and it's like, listen, I might not like what he says while I'm there, but it's really just going to get me better. And it comes from a place of wanting to help guys develop.
That's Nick Torre from Gators Online. Nick, we appreciate your time and hope you enjoy your stay here in Omaha.
Always do. Thanks, guys. Have a good one.
Thanks, Nick.
That's Nick Torre from Gators Online. And I need to remind you about our friends over at Team Jack Foundation. TeamJackFoundation.org is where you can find all the information that you need to get involved, whether it's volunteering, finding their events, donating directly on the page, or you just want to learn more about all the good work they're doing to find better treatments and one day a cure for childhood brain cancer. TeamJackFoundation.org is where you can do all of those things. That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla. We will be back with more Hurrdat Sports Radio coming up next. We are back here on Hurrdat Sports Radio, AM 590, ESPN Omaha, ESPN Tri-Cities. We're live on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube. That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla here on the Pillar Exterior stage. Appreciate Nick Torre for joining us to preview, even though it's Florida, I guess we still can talk about Florida baseball.
We saw it play out against Nebraska.
I'm not a personal fan, of Florida for a variety of reasons, but, it's all right. It's all right.
Well, you do enjoy the state school.
We got equal opportunity. So
and for some reason, they outspend you, even though you are the state school.
Well,
as a revenue generator.
I'm not saying it's a terribly well-run university, as we've seen. They're working on it. They're trying to get up to speed.
Yeah, they should be pretty good this year.
Yeah, I hope so. I wonder what it's gonna depend a lot on what DJU does.
Well, I think defensively
they're gonna be really good.
It should be really good.
Mike Norvell's a really good coach.
Yeah, I mean, apparently, and you guys almost weren't patient enough with him.
Oh, don't you guys me on that. I knew if anybody that was paying attention knew how bad the end of Jimbo was and how bad Willie Taggart put that thing in a hole. Those 3-4 year stretch at the end of Jimbo into Willie was horrifying. I was like, Mike's going to need a minute here. And because first of all, nobody had an offensive line that was worth playing in a major conference at Florida State for 5 years.
Yeah.
Their offensive line play was so bad. And that's the thing that takes the longest to fix usually.
And this year, while that comes around, which it may, I mean, you're going to lose a little bit outside the numbers, but you were so deep with your receiving core last year, you'll be fine. For whatever the reason, TJU did the anti-Mariota, looks even bigger and stronger than he normally does, and he's a big guy.
He was a big guy already
by nature.
Yeah.
It'd just be nice if he moved in the pocket a little more.
Mm-hmm.
But your spring game, which is, for whatever the reason, always on, which is maddening. Your D-line is going to be really, really good. I like you guys, your D-line. I keep saying you guys. I know you're a Nebraska fan. I like your D-line. I like Tennessee's D-line. But for me, like for my money, like if I was going to go the top 3 D-lines in the country, and I'll put Georgia at 4.
Okay.
But like top 3 D-lines in the country all belong to what conference?
I mean, if you're
no disrespect to Ole Miss.
So you're not going SEC here.
No.
Okay, guys. Okay. I'm going to say Big Ten.
100%.
Yeah.
Who are they? This is just my opinion.
Yeah, I'm trying to. Ohio State
is what number?
Ooh, 2.
I'll go 1.
Okay.
Who's 1A? They may have the best interior defensive. They certainly have the deepest. I don't know if they're as high-endy, although their main guy is.
You're still going Michigan here?
100%.
Yep. I'm just trying to remember who's still there. Like that's because I haven't gotten full into the football prep yet, so I'm trying to remember who's still there.
For me, who's 2?
So you got those are your first 2. So
1 and 1A. And if you wanted to fight me over
separate, yeah.
I wouldn't have any problems if you wanted to land on Michigan. Which is why I wanted to go over their win total.
Yeah.
With Brian Edwards. We'll get to them next week.
Get to them
because it's a double-digit number.
I do,
and I think it's primarily because of their defense.
I do want to get to Iowa too.
Yeah, you said, was that all fair? You said they'll stumble into 8 wins.
Yeah, their schedule, they bring back almost everybody.
Well, that with Castro and Wongpa and
their freaking schedule sets up just like cake for them.
And I can see him in my sleep. 34.
Yep. I don't know his name.
Gosh, it is
Kenny.
I was just making sure I said Wongpa the correct way.
Right.
But
yeah.
I mean, I see where you say that.
They're gonna. I mean,
but you're gonna have to weather.
I'm hammering that over.
What is it?
7.5.
So there's that cluster in the Big Ten that all gets to 7.5.
I'm gonna hammer that over.
Wow. And you just think they'll be. They had the historically worst offense in America last year,
and they still won. Was it 9 or 10?
Yeah.
How you think they're going to be
defensively?
Defensively, they're going to be just as good as they always are.
Again, my favorite thing about that schedule, Higgins. Thank you, man. God bless social media. Sometimes
they helping you out.
Yeah, it's just just think something. So half the time people are reading my mind anyway. I mean, I got Act 2, and I got Higgins. Defensively, I still think Rutgers is a little low too.
The special teams are going to be incredible at Iowa. The defense is going to be incredible again. As long as you don't literally, which I know they did some last year, and they still would have hit the over on this number. As long as you don't just literally give touchdowns to the other team while you're on offense,
I understand.
You're going to win 9 games.
Yeah. Who's number 2?
So number 2, but the third best out of the I don't want to get too creative here. Am I overrating Nebraska?
A little.
Okay.
Although in the Big Ten, potentially, I would put them right around
4
or 5.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because it's between it. So there's this school, then the Iowa, Penn State, Nebraska thing is interesting.
So Penn State was going to be my other guess. Who am I forgetting?
Well, it's because they're new to the Big Ten.
Oh, Oregon?
Yes.
Yeah. You're right. I totally forgot.
No, their D-line.
It's going to take me a minute to remember Oregon is in the Big Ten.
Their D-line will be sensational.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I and again, I wouldn't. I would maybe arm wrestle, but I wouldn't fight over
Michigan versus Ohio State.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But Mason Graham, and I said this last year, and they lost Jenkins, and I get it, but I said my guys in Ann Arbor were telling me this D line was 8 deep. This year, they're 6 deep. So it depends on if you like the highest of the high end,
or if you like
or the depth. And you could convince me that even the highest of the highest end is comparable. I just don't know if Michigan will have the high end pass rusher.
Yeah, like the twitchy edge guy,
like Ohio State will boast. But
yeah.
Oregon will be really, really good.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't, the Nebraska, Penn State, Iowa.
So I was gonna say my guess was gonna be Penn State, but again, I forgot that Oregon is in the Big Ten, which I'm gonna do like a million times over the course of the next 2 years, probably.
But listen, if Nebraska can get if Princewell and if Princewell and Cam,
and if you're counting the Jacks,
if Princewell and Cam,
do what I think they're
continue
gonna do.
to develop, it's a really, really good front.
Yeah, Nebraska's not far out of that group.
It's a really good front
if those guys take the next step.
And I think we
also
got to be able to have these conversations. I just hate how locally, because we're so insecure, we're afraid to speak with any sort of conviction.
Yeah, we're afraid to say that they're good.
But we do it with other teams all the time.
Yeah.
Right? It's how I used to feel. I'm like, I brag on these other people's kids all the time at the high school level, and I don't ever say anything about my own.
Yeah.
That's kind of how I feel like we are about
100%.
Like that D line is.
I don't know if it's a hot take or not. My prediction for the D line this year is that Nash is going to be really disruptive.
Yeah, that's not a hot take.
Like really, I just don't hear anybody talking about it.
It's not a hot take. I mean, you could make the case he's their most complete right now. It's not. I would, in no disrespect to Ty Robinson,
I take Nash over Ty.
But I would probably take Nash,
especially a little bit leaner. I think he's gonna. So the thing that I've said,
and
this
he's
before,
so stinking mean spirited.
The thing that I noticed with Nash, what you have to be if you're a wrestler, you have to have a little bit of crazy to wrestle.
But you listen to him and he's so gracious, and good natured.
But the thing with Nash for me was, I felt like, especially at the end of the year, he was like a half step away from making a ton more plays.
I know, and
if he's playing at 305, 310 instead of 335, I feel like he's going to have that half step.
I just remember early on last year, and I looked at Sharpie. We'd go to break or whatever, and I'd say, "How about Nash playing at 45s? Like that's my, just being able to play at angles." It's like he looks different, doesn't he?
He's,
and I would be whispering that like somebody could hear me in the booth, but I mean, and he would just, it's just like his.
I think Nash could be really disruptive this year.
He's going to be extremely explosive.
Yeah.
And
he's not going to lose any of the strength. I know they're not going to let him when he lost that weight. I know they didn't let him get any weaker.
And you hopefully he can command a double, especially when Nebraska gets in kind of like that little underfront look.
Anyone can command a double, then it's all bets are off.
Yeah.
And it's off to the races.
Another guy that I kind of like that I'm hoping he makes incremental steps. It's more his fitness than his upside is. Like if you can get a guy like MJ Sherman, because I know Butler's going to be a
Jamari, and then the guy that I am,
if Cam,
we keep forgetting about Riley too.
No,
not forgetting, but like he doesn't always get mentioned the same.
So Schaefer sent me that my super after Nation left, and I knew that would poke a hole in everybody's Super Six. I had Schaefer send me the Super Six list, and you have to buy me a little time while I find it.
Well, while you find it, I got to remind you, you got a little time, but not a ton of time.
I got it.
Okay.
So my Super Six from that year, I got to scroll all the way down to my name. Gosh bless it. Hustle, DB. Hustle. What we call it a tease. Do your thing, and then we'll come back because I want to get to this. It's interesting.
A reminder for you to get to HuskerFanTravel.com to get your packages for the Nebraska at USC game in November. You got game day transportation, pregame parties, tailgates, the whole deal, and you can even get your tickets through the packaging as well. Make sure you get to huskerfantravel.com in order to get those packages booked through the Nebraska Alumni Association. DB will come back with a little bit of his Super Six that he was talking about in just a minute here, along with Mike Sautter on Hurrdat Sports Radio. Kicking off hour number 3 here on Hurrdat Sports Radio, AM 590, ESPN Omaha, ESPN Tri-Cities, KFOR in Lincoln. That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla here on the Pillar Exterior stage. We are joined now over the phone, not in person today because he's on the road, by one Mike Sautter of Hurrdat Sports. What's up, Mike?
Just driving, like I was driving golf balls yesterday.
Is JP still asleep?
So, no, I just woke up when the phone rang. He was
JP, you got to be a better co-pilot than that, my guy. Come on.
I'm never truly all the way out. I was just kind of letting him sit there with his thoughts.
Hey.
Nah, he was knocked out like Mike Tyson punching me in the face.
Listen, so JP, the funniest thing he said was, it was like, whatever. He's like, yeah, we left at 6:30. That's about 17 hours earlier than he's used to getting up.
Dude,
I was like, that puts him at 7:30 at night. Yeah, I'm just getting started.
Dude, I picked him up at 6:30, and he probably was only sleeping for about 2 hours.
Oh, tops.
Before I picked him up.
Tops. He maybe just took a little 20-minute cat nap.
I don't know. The Suns didn't have any news break last night.
Yeah, he's kind of like you, though. He's got a little bit of that insomniac, whether his game's on or not.
Dude, mine's due to stress. I don't know what his is due to. Hey, so, Jerome, well done yesterday at the tournament. You were all paranoid. I tell people how flippin' competitive you are. You were worried. Full disclosure, is Oklahoma Tyler that good of a golfer that he could carry you guys?
He did. Nobody carried.
Get mad, Mike. Get him.
Yeah.
Listen, it's okay. You're not heavy. He could carry you.
I will tell you. Come on. He hit a. There was live scoring, so we kind of knew where we were.
Yeah.
Okay. Full disclosure, we also bought 4 mulligans, which we used them all and needed them all. So that helped.
Sure.
And we were like towards the end. I think it was our 17th hole. Like a drive, and somehow this dude smoked the ball, went like just missed the trees. Beautiful drive, and that was our 18th hole, and like put it, I don't know, 15 yards, 20 yards from the cup. Like he smoked this drive, landed it beautifully. It was great. I mean, Oklahoma Tyler's good golf. I will say this: he's a great putter.
Well, he doesn't work, so all he does is golf, and he'll tell you himself he's like the greatest putter on God's green earth.
No, him and Trey Mosman can actually putt. They carried us putting because I can't putt at all. Like, I'm terrible.
I could see Trey being good because he always has kind of those good steady hands. You know.
Yeah, I got to give a big shout out to now my guy, Will Osborne, who is Platteview High kid. Golf. That kid's pretty good. Now, he struggled a little bit at the beginning because I think he was maybe nervous because he was supposed to be the hired gun, right? Like the ringer. And he didn't hit very many shots early. And then as the day went on, I think he got a little more comfortable with, me and Tyler's debauchery that was going on.
Yeah. So at what point were you shotgunning those beers?
What? I don't remember.
That's a good sign.
The funniest thing about that whole deal is how long it actually took you to puncture a hole.
Okay. What happened was somebody unnamed, not Oklahoma Tyler Mosman, the other one, threw a thing of ice on top in the cooler and it punctured it. I'm like, okay, well, it's already got a little hole in it. So I somebody's got to do this, so I guess it's me. So
arm twisting. Who's gonna do it? Oh, I guess I will.
He's like, who's going to shotgun this beer as he grabs it?
Yeah, challenges are kind of my thing, right? Like, you challenge me to do something, I probably will give it a whirl. And so it was kind of one of those things. But, yeah, golf was good yesterday. I'm not really sore at all. I thought I was going to be sore. And I played golf like I normally play golf, which is very long off the tee and can drive a golf ball, and inside of 100 yards, it might take me about 8 strokes to get it in the cup. So, that didn't change. I haven't played golf in 2 years. I felt pretty good about it.
Turns out Mike can actually win when he has some decent teammates.
Wow.
Well, Jacob, you've been carrying him forever with this whole preps coverage thing, so you ought to feel pretty good about that.
No, I think that was a shot at our kickball team, which I don't appreciate, JP.
Yeah, I think that was, the whole, okay, my quad is still a little bit sore, and that was a week ago from the kickball, but I was running out there.
Yep, you and Forrest.
Him and Forrest, I was running.
Hey, we were going back. We're talking about Nebraska's D-line because I want to get to the tournament coming up next week and some other things. But we were going back and low-key revisiting Super 6 after Nation's departure. Do you remember? I'm just going to give you your Super 6. You went Jeff Sims, Billy Kemp, Prince Well, Van Poppel.
One.
That's going to be another good one. Cam Linhart. It's going to be another good one. 6 was Alvano. We're
wait and see.
We're wait and see. And your sleeper was Sledge. That's significantly better than a lot of other people's this year.
Tough start on the first two. Although I thought Billy Kemp was fine. He didn't have a lot of help.
Yeah, he was fine.
I don't think Billy Kemp is a miss. The only miss there is Sims, which was almost everybody.
And I got to looking at this after Nation. I'm gonna be the bad guy that for 2 years in a row didn't have any of the most highly touted local high school guys on my Super 6. I didn't have Malachi Coleman on mine, and I didn't have Carter Nelson.
You didn't even have your own kid on yours.
He was my sleeper.
Was he?
Yeah, that's fine.
All right.
So in that year, I hit on 4.5.
Yeah, that's not bad.
That's
really good.
That's pretty good.
I don't know. Sometimes I'm good at my job. I don't know.
Hey, speaking of which, with the unfortunate passing of Yano Jones this week, did that change in his funeral arrangements that are going to be at Love Church? Did that change? Does that change the way you're going to do your tournament, or are you kind of locked because of the other team's schedules?
Yeah, I talked the other day on Wednesday when the funeral time came. I got a call from Steve Warren at Warren Academy, and he said, "Hey, like this, I know that's the day of the tournament, and all of that." And I went back and forth with him, talked to Papio South administrators and different things, and really tried to think of or come up with a way to move it around or do the best we can. And there really isn't a lot I can do to change the schedule, because it's not like passing league, right, where you can just move.
Nope, I get it.
We have 10 referees. We have people flying in from Houston to help run the event. Like, there's just a lot of moving parts. We have teams from central cities coming in. Columbus Lakeview's playing in it. Like, we have teams from kind of not the metro that we have to try and do the best for too, right?
Yeah.
So I think at the end of the day, we said the visitation is Thursday night, and if people want to pay their respects, they can go to the visitation on Thursday night.
Right.
There just can't really move stuff around. And frankly, we don't know what the schedule on Friday will be when teams play until they play on Thursday. So, for example, for Papio South specifically, we will do the best we can to move things for them. So, their team and all that can attend. we just can't do that for everybody.
Yeah.
Because, it just is what it is.
I love when we get to see the thoughtful, good side of Mike Sautter. It's actually in there.
Hey, this is years in a row that I've, had this tournament. I kind of move. I'm decent at like adjusting and accommodating sometimes.
Yeah. Oklahoma
Right.
Tyler said 175 pounds got pretty heavy, but he fought through it like dragging you home. It was no problem carrying you through 18.
Hey, man.
I'm just saying.
They did kind of. When we arrived at the golf course, I said to them, if we use one of my shots today, I'll be happy. And we used more than one. So, yes.
Calling it a dub.
I didn't make one putt all day.
Well, you don't have to with him. He is a fantastic putter. He had that little deal down in his office in the basement, and that dude would just carry around a putter and just hit balls like into random things. Like he has really good touch. He's good at bags and stuff like that. Like that doesn't surprise me. I wanted him to teach me how to read a green once, but he gave me the eye roll like he didn't have all year. So I stopped asking about it, but whatever.
He doesn't seem like a terribly patient man.
No, he's not a teacher. He is not. He's a figure it out guy.
Yeah. He's got the patience of my 5-year-old.
Oh, yeah.
Not a lot.
Trust me, I know. Ain't no babysitting going on.
Sautter, are there any more details about the tournament next week you need to get out there that people need to know?
Yeah, hopefully the schedule is done and posted on the app. We use the Zorts app for that. I haven't looked today, obviously, but I hope the schedule's done. But yeah, at Millard South, or not Millard South, at Tapio South, Plain Vista South next week. I think we're going to try and start about 10, like we did last year.
Perfect.
To be over about 5. And teams, the cool thing is teams come in, they play their games, they get to go home. They don't have to sit around and wait all day. So that's good. But yeah, it'd be about 10 to 5 on both days.
Which days are those?
Thursday and Friday next week. So it's 7-on-7 tournaments, Scholastic 7-on-7 tournaments with just high school teams. We ended up with 18 teams from Nebraska, and Lewis Central. So the one, but we kind of claim them when they're good, right? So we just kind of, they're good players.
I think they can hear us. I think they can hear us in Council
Well,
Bluffs,
I think
so,
that's
yeah.
tongue in cheek. I get it. We want them to be a part of what they're doing the last 5 years because they got a lot of good players. Camrad's a stud.
Yeah, I think he's awesome. So yeah, we kind of. Is this where I got to get off right here? I think so. Anyway.
Oh Lord.
Sorry, we're trying to find this gym that I've never been to before, and yeah, but no, it's. 7-on-7 tournament next week is great. It is what it is, right? It's 7-on-7, no linemen, no pads. So it's it's always a good time though.
You've been around you've been around a lot of 7-on-7 just at the metro level. What are some of your takeaways?
Yeah, well, Wednesday was interesting because I wanted to see Millard South, right? And they Millard South played at
North.
Omaha North.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I will say Millard South offense is wow. Like they're gonna be pretty good. And sorry, hey, there's gonna be this blinking noise because there's a cop car right in front of me and I'm in this turn lane, so
that's okay.
I don't want to turn my blinker off. Anyway, yeah, Millard South's great. Isaac Jensen is the guy that people aren't talking about enough over there, I think. I think he could have a good year if he kind of, matures mentally because he just felt like he was kind of young and didn't get the ball a lot. The dude, though, and we brought it up before, keep bringing it up. AJ Amarion Jackson is so dang good. He is so good. Yep. He had a great day the other day. And for people, the knock on him is he doesn't have, the 40 times straight line speed. I don't know. He caught like a 5-10 yard slant and outran 3 Omaha North defenders for about 30 yards and scored a touchdown. He outran those little guys that normally can run. So I don't know. I mean, game speed and 40 times speed are a little different. So he turned the Jets on there. He also went up, high pointed a ball for an interception in the end zone because he's going to play safety this year. He had a terrific day the other day. And then Omaha North, I'm not the first one to say this or whatever about them, but I think North will be just fine. Cannon, obviously, at running back's good. Mikey Gow had a decent day. That was actually the first time I've ever seen Mikey Gow play or throw a pass live with my own 2 eyes. Timing was a little off, but that stuff will catch up. But the guy for them, Connor O'Neill is going to be. He had a good year last year.
I brag about him quite a bit as a rare 3-sport guy. He torched us last year in 7-on-7, and I think people think it's just because I'm friends with the family. But my favorite line: I'd rather be right than well liked. He's really good.
Right. Yeah, he's really good. He's long, athletic.
He killed us in this tournament a year ago. I think he just scored again.
He did. I remember he did. He caught a couple touchdowns like you guys, like in the corner of the end zone.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, oh
yeah.
boy.
I was like, that's
Donovan,
different.
Donovan Jones' little brother though.
Darian.
North.
He deserves his own name. He's a great kid.
Yeah. Again.
There's a lot of There's a lot of D's in that family.
Yeah. Darian Jones. He's on the Donovan Jones plan. Like
the build.
As a junior. Yeah, he's slender or slimmer, but it's going to happen for him at some point. Like his body will catch up, right? And he's a player. Like he's a good player. He has a little bit of the dog in him.
Yeah, that's probably my favorite thing, right? It reminds me of the Caleb Micah thing. Caleb was the nice guy and says a lot of the right things and kind of measured like Donovan. Darian is like an older version of Micah. Darian reminds me a lot of like Keegan in his mentality. Johnson, he just wants to put it on he wants to put it on everybody. I like that about him.
That younger sibling, been picked on my whole life, so now I'm going to be a tough guy thing.
Yeah.
That's exactly right. So, but I saw them on Wednesday. Fun. Like it was good to see North South. We talked about last week quarterbacks. Jet Tamala probably deserves a little bit of flowers, right? Like he's a good quarterback.
Mm.
He's good. And yes, hey, it's the talent around him, but hey, at the next level in Division I football or high level football, guess what? You have good players around you too on your team, or you're supposed to.
Mm.
So let's not knock him for that this year when the season comes. So he's got to get a little more mobile. I think he knows that, but he's fine. I like Jed. I think he's a good quarterback, throws a good ball. So North South, got to see what they have up front. I haven't seen it, right? So we'll see, but they're clearly are going to be pretty good. So.
Mike, I wanted to go back to Amarion Jackson here for a second because unless I missed something, still does not have a Nebraska offer, right? I'm not missing anything there. And
correct, yeah.
He came out and said after I think it was one of the camps or Friday Night Lights that he was working on his speed and trying to get that speed, top end speed up to where they wanted it to be. My question is, if this ends up being because he's a pretty high profile guy, he's got good offers, he's going to have. He got the Iowa offer, the Kansas State offer. Is this a guy that you look like? And if Nebraska just passes on him, is this going to kind of test the faith that we have in Rule in terms of the local recruiting at all? Because he's a pretty highly anticipated guy.
Well, yeah, 5 offers going into his junior year. He's on track.
Yeah, I think if they do pass on him, it's just because of he doesn't test well thing. Because, hey, Damon, you know this, and everybody knows this more than me.
You cut out there, Mike.
We lose him.
Like
you cut out there for a second, bud. Go ahead.
I said rule and and things, and it kind of is what it is, and times they want people to hit and all those sort of things. And if they do pass on them, that would probably be the reason why. But I don't know. I do know this. Like, LeVar Woods is a pretty dang good recruiter, one of the best in the country. And when he offers you, it means something, right? So, I think that guy knows what he's doing a little bit.
Well, that's kind of the interesting thing with Jackson, right? Is two of the offers that he got in Iowa and Kansas State, they're super choosy about who they send offers out to. So I think that makes him particularly interesting in that class.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, we'll see. He's just not going to go down there and do the dog and pony show. Like, it's not what he's going to do. And frankly, I feel like he doesn't have to. So
I actually can respect that too. Like, if guys I'm okay with that. That's because that's probably how I would be, even if it was my alma mater or not. Like, if I'm betting on me, I'm just betting on me.
Mm-hmm.
Like that. There'll be a couple of guys like that, right? I think Christian CJ is going to be like that. I think they're going to run into that a little more, and I think they'll just put it to the test. Like, there won't be any panic, right? They're going to stick to their guns and see what happens.
Yeah, they'll be like, does Christian Jones really need to go to a camp? No, like, he doesn't need to. He shouldn't need to do all that. Now, some kids, most kids probably should camp and test and do all that and get the offer that they want or whatnot. But I do think they'll be. You're right. There's people that you just don't need to do it, and I do think that AJ is one of those people, because you just put the tape on is all you need to see, really.
Let me ask you something real quick. With all these string of tight ends, those frames coming out, and you mentioned Anderson, who's the closest that you could be seeing that you could? And I know you play it close to the vest, so I'll be curious to get your answer. But who's the closest you could see to being a Bramer type of the last handful of guys these past couple years?
Oh, man.
Because, I mean, you got to think toughness. Who's the closest, do you think, to being a Bramer type?
Ooh. That's hard, because he was so good. And he's
pretty underappreciated, though. Didn't know if he could make the transition, and he was amazing.
Yeah, I don't like it. And he can run, and he's big like that. I don't know.
It's tough, but he has a couple years to get there. Could you see Chase being like that?
Maybe, yeah. I mean, he had a good day the other day. He's not as tall, but
no, if he's
maybe Chase could be that.
Interesting. Just curious.
That's Mike Sautter. He will be in Kansas City this weekend for an AAU event. Make sure you check out his Twitter as well as NEB Preps for all that good stuff as well. And Jacob Badil is with him too. Hopefully he'll be awake for the tournament more than he was for the car ride.
Who's gonna actually have accurate stats? He needs Jacob.
Oh yeah, Jacob will definitely have the accurate stats. Sautter, we appreciate it. We'll talk to you again soon.
All right, yeah.
Be safe, fellas.
More Hurrdat Sports Radio coming up next. We're not just playing Texas A&M clips because I suddenly forgave Trevor, because I haven't.
Still Trevor, huh?
That's DB. I'm Ravi. Lulla. You're listening to Hurrdat Sports Radio, AM 590, ESPN Omaha, ESPN Tri-Cities, KFOR in Lincoln. We are efforting Ryan Brauninger. He covers Texas A&M. We'll talk to him in just a second. In the meantime, though, I know everybody's focused on the College World Series right now, but right afterwards, you got Union Omaha coming back home on June 27th at Werner Park. This is fun for the whole family. Omaha, people talk, it's kind of a soccer or kind of a hockey city. It's kind of a soccer city, too. Make sure you get out to Werner Park on June 27th. It is Cancer Awareness Night on June 27th. Go out, go support a great cause. UnionOmaha.com is the place to get those tickets. One city, one club, one means all. Union Omaha. Joining us now on that Hurrdat hotline is Ryan Brauninger. We're going to talk a little Texas A&M baseball. Ryan, how are you this morning?
Good, guys. I appreciate y'all having me on.
Hey, thanks for being with us.
Yeah, we've got a pretty good Texas A&M team here up in Omaha. I think this is kind of where, we just talked to a Florida guy about an hour ago, and I was like, hey, if I had told you a month ago you were going to be here, he'd be like, hey, what for? What are we doing in Omaha? Not the case with Texas A&M. Kind of expected to be here all along.
Yeah, I think y'all talked to my buddy Nick De La Torre. He's great.
Yeah, he's fantastic.
Yeah, he's always got a really good sense of humor. But yeah, Florida. I mean, Jim Schlossnagle called Kevin O'Sullivan the mayor of Omaha yesterday. He's here. He said death taxes and Kevin O'Sullivan going to Omaha. So I don't know why Florida fans would ever be surprised. I know they had a super up and down season, but with a roster as talented as the Gators, you can always they get hot at the right time, and they could come home with a national championship just like Ole Miss did a couple years ago. But for Texas A&M, yeah, like you talk to people around the program back in December, January, and they were very quietly confident that they could end up back in the heartland this year. And the roster that Jim Schlossnagle and assistant coach Nolan Kane have constructed is it's very talented, but it's also very deep. And we got to see some of that depth shine through in that super regional against Oregon whenever you have just a kind of an emotional gut punch of losing a guy like Braden Montgomery. And then in the second game, Shane Sadeo, who's just been lights out as your number 2 starter. He throws 11 pitches and has to exit because of an elbow problem. And then, A&M wins both of those games in which they were down early, and then they lose some of their key pieces. They win both of those games, one by 4 runs, one by 7 runs. And it just speaks to just the overall quality and depth of the roster, I think.
Yeah, it's incredible. I want to speak to something you just said, and because with the depth, you guys didn't really know much about Montgomery's availability until right before, in August. So clearly you have depth because guys are ready to go. But you talked about the emotional piece when you pit it against depth. Do we undersell or underappreciate their ability to rally just in the moment? Because you watch a cast come on, and I mean, lots of things happening. Baseball is already a game of managing emotions and failures anyway, right? Were you surprised at how quickly you guys hit the light switch mentally, not so much the physical component of seeing how long that injury took to move on from real time being at home plate?
Yeah, it didn't surprise me because I've gotten to know these kids and been around the program so much, but I do think that their camaraderie, their mental fortitude, their backbone, their mettle, I think that was something that a lot of the fan base may have taken away as like the highlight of last weekend. And I think it was the highlight in some national analysts as well, because whenever A&M was, running at full steam and people would go to the ballpark and you were just in awe of the overall talent of the roster, specifically the lineup. And, I think that was the story of this A&M team for most of the season was just the massive amount of talent that they were putting on the field. And then, so under the radar and like kind of under the cloche is this really tight-knit group of kids that will fight for each other. And, look, I was in the ballpark when Braden goes down and Shane goes down, and it's like, yeah, man, like there's an emotional gut punch from that is inevitable. You like to think that you can just say, hey, all right, it's over with. We got to start playing the next pitch. But it does take you a little bit to bounce back. But again, like I said, they won those games 10-6 and then 15, I believe it was 15-9 in the end over Oregon. And that's like, it's incredible to watch the first few innings of both of those contests. And then knowing the outcomes, you're like, how did we get from that end of the spectrum to them celebrating on the field in Omaha to go to Omaha after 2 games?
I told this, my emotions the very next morning, because I think that was a Sunday. I said Monday morning, watching Moore struggle against you guys and the bubbles just go crazy. And he was on like at that time, like 38th pitch. I think he ended up throwing 44 for the inning with the hit batsman, the walks. You guys get it to 8-8. How close or how quickly do you think we could replicate some of the, and I get it, that's a miserable place to play with the environment. Can Texas A&M fans bring that energy to Omaha? Because you could just feel the intensity. I almost felt bad for Moore. I was like, oh my gosh, just get him out. Just get him out. Like this environment is eating him up. His cheeks were flush. But I mean, how do you think he'll travel, or what are you expecting for this weekend?
Well, I thought 2 years ago when the A&M got here, the crowd was good. It wasn't as big in number as some of the other SEC clubs. But I think it was because there wasn't a lot of expectation for that 2022 A&M team that ended up being in the Final Four, which is was the deepest run in school history. But now with what Jim Schlossnagle has got up and running, like I can tell you guys this on our message boards, like our baseball traffic is doing like 5-6x what it used to in terms of numbers and interactions and things like that. So, and we've seen the fan base really show up this season at Bluebell Park. The crowds have always been good, but this year, I would have to put it in a top 5 collegiate atmosphere right now, based off what I've seen this year. Like, and you guys are right. Like, it came through the TV screen, what it was doing to the Oregon pitching staff. But and so because of all that, I think that this fan base entered the season with Omaha expectations. So I do think we're going to see a much greater number of Aggies at Charles Schwab Field this week. And, I know they'll do their best to try to recreate that atmosphere that we saw at Bluebell Park. And, obviously a much more spacious ground, much more spacious stadium, a lot more seats to fill. But I think they're going to show up, and I think they're going to be rowdy.
How creative can you get with getting – I know you can't do the bubble machines and bubble makers here with the clear bag policy, man, but I mean, how creative you think your fan base will get with blowing bubbles?
You got to go old school, get the wands out, like, I don't know.
Yeah, you never underestimate the fervor of the 12th man and some Aggie ingenuity, but, we'll see. Like, again, I would highly encourage you guys, and because y'all are in Nebraska and this part of the world is college baseball crazy because of the College World Series. And, I really like the program that Nebraska's got up and running under Will Bolt and Rob Childress. And those are a couple of former A&M guys that I have immense respect for. And I saw some of those crowds in the Big Ten tournament, and that looked just awesome. But I would encourage you guys, if you're college baseball enthusiasts, like you got to get down to, all those ballparks in the SEC, but A&M specifically, like, it's so unique, and just like with everything else at A&M, like it's based on tradition, and everything in the ballpark kind of has its own quirk, and the fan sections have different chants or routines for different hitters. It's just the whole experience is very unique. So I would encourage you guys, if you got some free time in the spring, to head down to College Station and see a game for your own, because no matter what A&M does here in terms of the fan base, it's going to be hard to recreate what Bluebell Park is. And, maybe if they get to a championship series and more Aggies start showing up, we could sort of replicate it, but it's still like Bluebell Park, they've gotten probably 9,000 people in there this year. I know what the attendance numbers have said, but there's been some games where they've gotten about 9,000 in there, and it feels like they are just suffocating the opponents. And that's exactly what you guys saw last weekend in that Super Regional.
That's Ryan Brauninger. He's from Tex Ags. Make sure you go check out his work if you want to know more about the Aggies. Ryan, we appreciate the time and hope you enjoy your stay here in Omaha.
Thanks, Ryan.
Yeah, I will take any and all restaurant recommendations. We have been checking them off Yelp like crazy so far this week. So
I got you. We'll get you. You're talking to two foodies. We'll take you away from the tourist traps, and we'll take good care of you.
We got you covered.
Good deal. Yeah, send me those in some DMs on Twitter. I'll gladly take them.
You got it.
Absolutely. That's Ryan Brauninger from Tex Ags. I felt some kind of way when he brought up Rob Childress. I was a big Rob Childress guy, but I appreciate that there's still a respect there. He had a pretty good run at A&M before he ended up coming back here in Nebraska. Matt Vrzal coming up next to wrap up the week. Wrapping up the show here on a Friday, wrapping up the week as well, as we always do on AM 590, ESPN Omaha, ESPN Tri-Cities, and KFOR in Lincoln on Hurrdat Sports Radio with our guy, Matt Vrzal, former Husker and owner of Paisan's Pizzeria. Verz, what's going on?
Not much, boys. How we doing?
I'm good. How about you? Hanging in there? Are you on the move?
I am at Ace Hardware.
Oh, okay. Ooh.
My rocket Scientologists like to lose valuable pieces to machines that we need to operate. So now I'm trying to use my minor engineering knowledge to find a piece to make another piece work. So,
hey, quiet as kept though. That is one of the low key little hidden gems. There's one right down the street from me on like 80th, next to like Hallett Auto Body. I'm a big like. Not a bad little place to get. You can get barbecue stuff. You can get charcoal. I don't know how to do anything in my yard, so I don't get that stuff. But what piece are you looking for? Never mind. I don't want the jokes of it being way above my pay grade.
Yeah, we're wasting time. Let's get to it.
Hey, but by the way, though, I'm gonna start. This might be the only nice thing I say to you during this whole interview, but. So I've been rocking the Perfect on Purpose, the Pisons, the T-shirt.
Yeah,
dude, that material is sensational.
Yeah, you don't want.
Yeah, I'm sure you knew that, right?
When we were first open, our T-shirt quality wasn't quite as high, and then like how marathon runners, when they run, they got to put Band-Aids over their nipples. Like those shirts, once you get in the summer and it gets hot and starts sweating.
There's some chafing going on there.
They get heavy. So that's what I was like, I don't care. You could print it diagonally upside down as long as the shirt's comfortable. We're good.
Matt Vrzal here for cover-ups.
Yeah.
Listen, that was the
Miserable.
worst. That was the worst part about those like old school basketball jerseys. They get real heavy when you'd sweat, and oof, you have some problems. You gotta wear an undershirt.
Yeah, that and the basketball.
Well, I know deep down you're a hoops fan. Nope, nothing. I thought you said you liked the WNBA. That's still hoops.
Hey, are you getting demands for that on the TV?
No.
Okay.
Part of it's like, and I'm hard on my sister. I give her a lot of S on this.
You think?
But she was a very talented player, so it was fun and entertaining to watch because it was a team game. Like you put me in a situation where a team can succeed, I am watching.
Mm-hmm.
That's why like USA Cricket, a bunch of dudes that are like, that isn't even their job. They have other accountants. And they come and they play cricket and they beat the number 6 team in the world. Give me a team sport, which is what the basketball I grew up on was a team game.
Mm.
And now basketball is just, it's society. I got to get mine. You don't care if the team wins. That's why what Missoula and the Celtics are doing is fun. I don't want to cheer for anything Boston because I don't want to see that little douchey kid with his sign up that says in his 17 years of life he's got 27 titles. I don't want that. But Boston plays a team game and they are demolishing
that's
everybody.
So why you say that, I think, is why they don't get the national. They always get the butts because they make it a team game. There's not the one egocentric maniac that like you rally around, and it's not a super team, right? They're gonna get
a Larry O'Brien trophy.
Yeah, like they did it. They did it with their own guys. There was no big three.
Great.
There was, yeah.
You're having a bad day. Got you, dog. I'm gonna kick my 10 in. Oh, I got cold. Don't worry about it, dog. I'm gonna put in 6. Like
there's a reason Drew Holiday, being such a hot commodity, picked the Celtics. Like
people understand your individual success matters 0. You want to be an individual, go play tennis, go play golf, go ski.
I do love tennis.
Go be an individual there. You want to be a real human being that has success, go play a team sport in a team manner.
Did you see Larry Zonka on Twitter the other day?
I missed that, but I did not know you.
Dude, listen, I'm gonna send it to you.
Forward it on.
And it's a lot nicer, even though he was mad. It was a lot nicer than the tweet that you sent me. But he basically went off on the question about history and the 17-0 Dolphins, and like laid into the whole team success, not making it about one guy in the NFL kind of thing.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my gosh,
It's why our world is an S show. We all want to do things individually. We can't do things individually. Life is a team game. What do you always used to say when it takes a village?
Yeah.
It does.
Yeah.
But now when your neighbor doesn't want your kid to be successful because that means their kid isn't going to be as successful, they don't care about your kid.
That's an
That's
an interesting analogy. Yeah, I get it.
Back in the day, you acted crazy on West 15th in Grand Island. The neighbor was going to get a shot at you.
Yeah.
Like, oh, you want to throw rocks at cars? Come here.
Now it's I can't go to your school because we play the same position.
Don't you talk to my kid? Okay. Then get your kid out of my neighborhood. Like that's like the breaking down of the neighborhood where everybody was just there to have a good time. That's why if I ever buy a home in Omaha, I'm probably going to have to go out somewhere by myself because the neighborhood, now there is one good neighborhood. I'll give Jergs credit. My guy Jergs, the basketball coach, he's got a hood. Like their hood is awesome. And it's an open door policy. And if you need to have some beers, you go have some beers at somebody else's house. If your kid's acting crazy, you bet you can discipline my child. Go ahead. But I learned that after they won the state championship. We're walking into a house.
That's crazy because that's exactly how he coaches too.
I was like, buddy, where you live? And he goes, over there. I was like, we are not walking into your house. And you are a few sheets into the wind here. He goes, I know. He goes, this is how my neighborhood rolls. Yeah. And I was like, great. This sounds awesome.
He's a total sum of the parts guy.
Fantastic. Exactly.
Yeah, I can
look at everything that's ever been successful in any sport competition ever. Michael Jordan didn't win until he realized he needed Scotty and he needed Pippen. Or it's not Pippen, sorry. And he needed Kerr and he needed Paxson. And he doesn't want to admit it, but he needed Bill Cartwright and Luke Longley and all those guys.
Ravi, same as Golden State Warriors. Everybody got a piece. Barnes.
Steve Kerr took it from the Bulls to the Warriors and said, this is how you have to do it. Do it that way.
Hey, let me ask
football.
You. Go ahead. Go do
football. You have a great quarterback in Tom Brady and an alpha competitor of all alpha competitors, but was beaten down every day because you will learn this is a team game. And he knew it. He didn't need to be beaten down. He was a team guy. But look how many parts and pieces they were able to rotate in. And we heard the Patriot way. You do it the Patriot way. And then the minute they didn't do it the Patriot way, look how quickly it all unraveled.
Do you think kind of you kind of hinted at this, but the root cause of some of these things are kind of believing this fallacy that, hey, just because somebody else succeeds means I can't. So you start rooting for other people to fail.
My name's not in the paper. Your team won, but my name's not there. You shouldn't be here then. Get out. Look at, I'll give Hollywood High their credit. Immensely talented group of kids that play for each other.
Yeah.
Not hard. Is your buddy's success more important than yours?
Mm-hmm. I don't appreciate the Hollywood High thing, but
it's what it is. And DJ calls it that, so don't act like it ain't.
Hey, what are you? So
I thought you were talking about.
I can't wait to see what all your Millard South coworkers say about their team this year, considering they had all those arrows that they wanted to sling. This is going to be hilarious.
Great, you're going to see how that coaching staff operates, because the coaching staff is the same way. Coaching staffs are the same way, and that's what people miss. I don't coach offensive line to have you come say to me, man, your offensive line is good. I coach offensive line for my buddies to say, man, Ryan Terwilliger, Matt Turman, Chris Dishman, Damon Benning are hella coaches. I just coach position. And my boys listen. If it's right, the boys executed everything that they were taught. If it's wrong, I didn't coach them well enough.
By the way, I still got to bring them some West Guide gear because they got to at least rock the T-shirt for a day.
They do.
Okay.
That will be your deciding factor that you will learn about that Millard South staff. You've gone and acquired talent, which is completely legal in the state of Nebraska. You've harvested it from all over the state. Now can you build a team? Can you get them to play for each other? Or did you sell them, hey, come here, you're going to be a star. Your name's going to be an On3 and in the World Herald, and you're going to be on the internet, and we're going to shoot these little cutesy videos of you. What did you sell them? Did you sell them playing on a team and winning as a team? Or did you sell them, you're going to get yours?
Mm-hmm.
And that's the great part about the season is it will show up and we will see.
And that's the great part about Matt Vrzal right there. Verz, we appreciate it as always.
Thanks, Verz.
See you, boys.